Chapter 1995. Suddenly, there was a stranger in the room, and he was covered by a black cloth. It was not an ordinary black cloth. It was a kind of black cloth that could hide one's aura. It was a treasure. It was rare to see something that could hide one's aura so well. When he saw the stranger, Tianyin didn't panic, but he was calm. To be able to silently appear under his powerful senses, one must either have an extremely powerful cultivation base or possess an astonishing treasure. The only person who could appear in such a situation was Star Venerable Jade Deity. He could not think of anyone else who could sneak in a look for him. It seems that you are quite calm. No wonder you dared to flatten our ancestral land of Jade Deity. You do have some strength. A low voice came from under the black cloth. Although it came from under the black robe, it seemed to come from the bottom of an abyss. From what he had said, he was sure that the person who had come was Star Venerable Jade Deity. He was not dead, and he seemed to be in good condition. He had chosen to hide his aura because he was being chased or because he was afraid of being discovered. If he had come to look for Tianyin, he would not have been so careful. Even if Tianyin had the strength to flatten the ancestral land of Jade Deity, Star Venerable Jade Deity would not have been so careful. After all, it was not necessary. Star Venerable Jade Deity was a Star Venerable, much stronger than Star Venerable Jade Heaven. With his temperament, he would only use the most violent force to suppress them and not come here in hiding. It could only be said that he had been targeted by some Almighty, and that Almighty was even stronger than Star Venerable Jade Deity. What? Did you disguise yourself to take revenge for your son? I did not expect Star Venerable Jade Deity to be afraid of someone. Tianyin was not afraid. He was still calm. He had been looking forward to Star Venerable Jade Deity's arrival. Therefore, he was quite happy that Star Venerable Jade Deity had shown up. It would be best to get rid of this scourge as soon as possible. The more you know, the faster you will die. Don't you know that? Star Venerable Jade Deity said coldly. Of course I know that, but I don't know who will be dead. Tianyin looked at him and said with a faint smile, "Besides, I do not have any Almighty as my enemy. I'm not afraid of being chased. Do you dare to reveal your full strength and fight with me? Don't be too arrogant." Celestial Star Sovereign Jade Divinity snorted. Don't think you're invincible just because you flattened the ancestral land of Jade Divinity. The vastness of the world far exceeds your imagination. They're a lot more powerful than you. You're right, but it's still enough to deal with you. Tianyin smiled faintly. Arrogant. Star Sovereign Jade Divinity sneered and said, I don't know how many geniuses I've seen, but I've even seen geniuses stronger than you. Unique Star Dharma images aren't rare in the outside world. How dare you be so arrogant in such a small place? If you go out, you won't even know how you died. This time, I didn't come here for revenge. I came back to take back something. As long as you hand over that thing, I won't pursue this matter. Star Venerable Jade Divinity said sternly. He didn't dare to release his aura, but his tone was quite sharp. That item? Tianyin was puzzled. He did not know what Star Sovereign Jade God was talking about. He had searched the entire ancestral land of the Jade God. Although there were many resources, he had not seen anything that could attract the attention of Star Sovereign. He immediately thought of the star ring of Star Sovereign Jade Heaven. Could the item be in the star ring? As he thought about it, he realized that he had not opened the star ring to check what was inside. This thing still needed to be destroyed before it could be opened to see what was inside. Tianyin did not have time to open it, so he had put it aside for the time being. Now that Star Venerable Jade Divinity had mentioned it, he immediately thought of what was inside the star ring. The only thing he did not know was what was inside the star ring. It seems that you don't know what that thing is, Star Venerable Jade Divinity said in a low voice. That's good. My son's star ring is in your hands. Hand it over, and I'll spare your life. I really don't know what that thing is. But if I really hand it over, will you really let me go? Tianyin sneered and said, Don't treat me like a fool. If I really give it to you, you won't let me go. After a moment of silence, Star Venerable Jade Divinity said slowly, I can make an oath. Is that okay? Tianyin narrowed his eyes. He had not expected Star Venerable Jade Divinity to compromise to such an extent. It seemed that he had encountered some difficulties. He had left the treasure with his son. Now that his son was dead, he could only come back and take it. Otherwise, it would not be good if it fell into the hands of others. You don't want to avenge your son? Tianyun asked calmly. If I wanted to avenge my son, do you think I would talk to you slowly? Star Venerable J Divinity said in a low voice, as long as you hand over the star ring, I will not pursue this matter. I can make an oath. If Star Venerable J Divinity had not been wearing the black robe, he would have stared at Tianyun's eyes. But now, he could not see anything under the black robe. Oh, it seems that you really don't dare to show up, Tianyun said with a faint smile. You don't even dare to avenge your son. Your opponent is really tricky. It would be impossible for Star Venerable J Divinity not to want revenge. But now that he was forced to show up, he could only swallow his anger. Don't talk nonsense. Either hand it over or fight to the death. Star Venerable J Divinity snapped. It's not impossible for me to give you the star ring, Tianyun said with a faint smile, but I have another condition. As long as you fulfill it, I will give you the star ring. What condition? Star Venerable J Divinity suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a suppressed tone. Boundless rage could be heard from his tone, but he could only suppress it. It's very simple. Help me remove all the slave brands and give me a share of the things inside the star ring. Tianyun said with a smile. These are my conditions. Not a bad deal, right? Bullshit, Star Venerable J Divinity said angrily. Don't be so presumptuous. Removing the slave brands is one thing, but you want to give you half of the things inside the star ring? Dream on. Oh, then what else is there to say? Let's fight. Tianyun spread his hands and said, in any case, I am not afraid of that Almighty. After all, I did not provoke him. Moreover, I did not intend to hand everything over to you from the beginning. I do not know what is inside, but I am sure it is something good, Tianyun said with a faint smile. If even you are tempted, I believe it cannot be bad. Chapter 1996. Star Venerable J Divinity was so angry that a dreadful power gushed out of his black robe. With him, as the epicenter, the ground around him instantly cracked open. Even the entire temple was sent flying by this terrifying force. With a bang, the ceiling and the walls around the divine palace were sent flying. The divine palace, where Tianyun had been, turned into an empty arena. The guards outside the door were all sent flying by this dreadful power. Fortunately, they were far away. Tianyun didn't like guards standing too close to him, so he arranged for them to stand outside the divine palace. But this power was so strong that they were still sent flying. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. The soaring power attracted the guards' attention. They all flew over to see what was going on. However, they felt a dreadful power repelling them before they could get close. They felt like kneeling on the ground when they were just a little bit closer. What a dreadful power! It's even stronger than Star Venerable J Divinity. Is it a Star Venerable? Star Venerable? Sir, why are you being targeted by Star Venerable again? I don't know. We can't go there now. Even if we go there, we won't be able to help. The guards could only watch from a distance. If they went there, they would be killed. Han Long and the others flew over quickly. They all turned pale when they sensed the dreadful aura. The aura of a Star Venerable. It's even stronger than Star Venerable J Divinities. Who is this enemy? Sir, you don't have any enemies. Why are there still strong people here? Is it a helper related to the ancestral land of the J Divinity? Han Long, Qing Shui, and the others all turned pale when they saw what was going on. They had managed to unify the situation and kill all the enemies. Why did such a dreadful person suddenly appear? There were very few Star Venerables in the first place, and now they were as common as the streets. Now, another Star Venerables had appeared suddenly, which made them panic. They could only watch from a distance. They couldn't get close. Sensing Star Venerable J Divinity's aura, Tianyun said calmly, he is at the middle stage of the Star Venerable realm. He is indeed stronger than your son. The appraisal I detected Star Venerable J Divinity's cultivation right away. His cultivation was at the middle stage of the Star Venerable realm, which didn't exceed Etienne's expectation. It was easy for him to make a breakthrough in his cultivation, but it was extremely difficult for others. It was already pretty good for them to advance to the middle stage of the Star Venerable realm. This was completely within his expectations, so he did not need to worry too much about Star Venerable Jade Deity being too strong. The extent of their strength was still rather limited. It seems you know nothing about the Star Venerable's cultivation. Do you think Star Venerables are weak just because you defeated my son, who has just become a Star Venerable? Star Venerable Jade Divinity said coldly, "One finger is enough to deal with you." In the next second, Star Venerable Jade Divinity did not waste any time. He had already gathered his power and raised his hand to press down on Etienne. A giant finger immediately appeared in the void, piercing through the void and stabbing down. The gigantic finger seemed to be countless times larger than his palm as it pierced through the void and pressed down on them. A terrifying power permeated through the air, pressuring down in all directions. Before he even got close, Etienne already felt as though he was about to be pressed to the ground. Even his feet, which were standing on the ground, were pressed into the ground by this power. Even the hardness of the ground could not bear such a dreadful pressure. Etienne exerted all of his power in an instant. He turned into the true body of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. The star power of the 12 directions rose up and illuminated the world. He also activated the crazy mode. To strengthen his power, 2 virtual images appeared behind him. Besides the virtual image of the five-colored Emperor Dragon, there was also the virtual image of the Starlight Wisdom King. He could only layer the power of one kind of virtual image. Unless his power increased, it would be difficult for him to layer more powers. With the help of the 2 powers, Etienne's power increased greatly. The Starlight Wisdom King waved its arms and made the star power above it increase by another level, reaching the star power of the 15 directions. The greatest effect of the Starlight Wisdom King was that it could greatly increase the amount of star power. Being able to layer 3 directions of star power at the 12 directions of star power was already incredible. In terms of the increase in power, it was equivalent to an increase of 9 times. The Starlight Wisdom King, Star Venerable Jade Divinity, was dumbfounded. He sensed a familiar power behind Etienne. He even wondered whether he had seen it wrong. How could Etienne have his son Star Dharmalaksana? However, he was only dumbfounded for a moment. He continued to attack. He could only assume that Etienne had some kind of power, not that he had 2-star Dharmalaksana. Even if your power is not weak, you are still trash before a Star Venerable. Star Venerable Jade Divinity continued to press down. The power that could pierce through the air pressed heavily on the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. Boom! With a loud noise, the whole area exploded. The earth shook and the mountains swayed. Even people who were thousands of miles away could feel the tremors easily. After a while, when the explosion had died down, Etienne's figure reappeared in people's sight. He was covered with cuts and bruises. There were several holes on his body. He had almost been blown up by the pressure. However, the original body of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon had been blown up. It could not bear such a dreadful power. Phew, phew, phew. Etienne gasped for breath. He looked around. The area had been razed to the ground. Fortunately, Etienne had arranged for him to stay in a remote area. Otherwise, the whole city would have been blown up. He knew that if Star Venerable Jade Divinity came, he would come for him. He would not start a massacre outside. That would be meaningless. Star Venerable Jade Divinity would take revenge on him first, not on his subordinates. When the battle started, it would affect the surroundings. That was why he had chosen to stay in an area with no houses. Sure enough, when Star Venerable Jade Divinity exploded, the effect was shocking. As expected of the power of a Star Venerable. It's much stronger than I thought, Etienne said with a grin on his face. Star Venerable Jade Divinity narrowed his eyes. He said in a deep voice, "You are really capable. You were a late-stage Star Venerable. Yet you did not die after taking one move from me. But that's all. I did not even use 10% of my power, and you ended up like this. If I had used 10% more power, you would have died for sure. It's over. Star Venerable Jade Divinity did not give Etionyan a chance to catch his breath. He used a second finger on Etionyan. The larger finger pressed down. The power it contained was much stronger than before. Under such circumstances, the sky changed color and shook. The space in this area became unstable. Most of the area twisted crazily. It looked like it would collapse at any moment. Chapter 1997. Star Venerable Jade Divinity did not want to waste time. He wanted to get rid of Etionyan as soon as possible. The longer he exposed himself, the worse it would be. He had thought he could get rid of Etionyan in one move. After all, he had exerted a powerful move. Although he said it was only 10% of his strength, in fact, it was more than 20%. He just wanted to scare Etionyan. However, it was meaningless to scare him. No matter how strong he was, Etionyan was not afraid of him. After all, it was meaningless to be afraid, because he could not win. This scene dumbfounded the guards. Star Venerable Jade Divinity's strength was even stronger than before. Before, Etionyan had been struggling to resist it. This time, his move was even stronger than before. How could he resist it? The patriarchs of some forces had yet to leave. When he saw this scene, he immediately revealed an expression of schadenfreude. He is doomed. I don't know where he provoked such a strong man. And he is such a strong Star Venerable. This is called karma. Who asked him to be so cruel to us? Star-Lord Heavenly Cloud is not so bad. He is much kinder than the ancestral land of Jade Divinity. Besides, if he is killed, this Star Venerable doesn't seem to be a kind person. He might be even crueler. This is true. No matter how many generations pass, it will be us who suffer. Some people gloated, while others thought Etionyan was not bad. The punishment for standing on the wrong side was very light, and it was also reasonable. Etionyan was not very overbearing. Even if he was overbearing, he was only overbearing to those who disobeyed his orders. Most people still hoped Etionyan could win. But could Etionyan win against such a strong Star Venerable? Star Venerable Jade Divinity's eyes were full of disdain. He thought Etionyan would definitely die this time. A person who was not even a Star Venerable wanted to be his opponent. It was really wishful thinking. Etionyan's eyes lit up. A faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He was still very confident. Breakthrough. Ding. After deducting star energy, he has leveled up to the early stage of Star Venerable Realm. Boom! A beam of starlight shot up into the sky and spread out in all directions. The astral energy above his head began to spread out in all directions. At the same time, melodious music came from the surroundings, which represented the arrival of a Star Venerable. He unexpectedly broke through to the Star Venerable Realm. His talent is pretty good, but he has just broken through to the Star Venerable Realm, so he is no different from a child that has just learned how to walk. Star Venerable Jade Divinity was surprised that Etionyan could break through to the Star Venerable Realm. It was really not easy for him to break through at such a time, but he had just broken through, so his compatibility was too weak. He was like the Jade Heaven Star Lord, who had just broken through to the Star Venerable Realm. He had just broken through to the Star Venerable Realm, so he hadn't gotten used to all aspects of his power, so he couldn't use it. Even if it was stable, so what? He was a middle-stage Star Venerable. Etionyan's early-stage cultivation was not enough. The attack continued to descend, piercing through the starlight around Etionyan and distorting the void. It was about to land on Etionyan. I'm a Star Venerable. An angry roar burst out of the starlight. An even bigger 5-color Emperor Dragon's shadow pounced on the thick finger. Its giant body pounced hard. As it waved its sharp dragon claws, the giant finger was torn to pieces. At the same time, 5 claw lights of different colors shot forward. They not only tore the giant finger apart, but also pierced through it to attack Star Venerable Jade Divinity. What? Star Venerable Jade Divinity was shocked. In his opinion, even if Etionyan had broken through, it would be difficult for him to resist his attack. The result was obvious. His attack had been destroyed. The 5 sharp claws were still flying toward him. However, Star Venerable J Divinity just waved his hand casually and scattered the 5 sharp claws. The attack was powerful, but after piercing through the giant finger, its power became very weak. As a result, Star Venerable J Divinity could break it effortlessly. At that moment, Etianyan was absorbing the star power around him quickly to strengthen his body. Soon, he broke through and became a real Star Venerable. Other practitioners needed some time to consolidate their power or adapt to it before they could exert the strongest power. Etianyan didn't need to go through this process. After breaking through, he could adapt to it immediately. Is this the power of a Star Venerable? It's really powerful. Etianyan took a deep breath. He felt that he had become stronger by several levels. After a series of exterminations, he finally had enough star energy to break through to Star Venerable. Facing Star Venerable J Divinity, he didn't break through immediately. He mainly wanted to see how big the gap between them was. After trying, he realized that a Star Venerable's power was really powerful. At first, he wanted to use the old trick. He wanted to take advantage of his weak cultivation to make Star Venerable J Divinity lower his guard. At that time, he would launch a sneak attack. However, he didn't even have a chance to do so. He was almost crushed by a single move. He had broken through to Star Venerable successfully, which made everyone's mouth drop open. Before, Etianyan hadn't been a Star Venerable, so they thought it would take him a long time to break through. But now, he had broken through so quickly, which really scared them. In fact, the ones who were most shocked were Dangfeng and the Drug God. When Etianyan had come to find them, he had only been a Star Master. Now, he had broken through to Star Venerable in the blink of an eye. They were all shocked. This kind of speed was like a god's. They had been here for a long time, so they knew how difficult it was to break through. For Etianyan, it was as easy as drinking water. But they didn't think too much about it. The stronger Etianyan was, the better. Only then would they be able to stabilize this place. I didn't expect you to break through to Star Venerable. Your power isn't weak either. This is beyond my expectations. Star Venerable J Divinity said in a deep voice, "This is a waste of my time. I've wasted too much time for you. But this time, I can't waste any more time. It's time to end it." Star Venerable J Divinity's black robe fell off completely. His pale face and white hair were revealed, but they couldn't hide his handsome face. When the other cultivators saw this face, they were all stunned. Star Venerable J Divinity? When they saw him, the first thing that came to their minds was Star Venerable J Divinity. But Star Venerable J Divinity was dead. How could it be Star Venerable J Divinity? And if they looked carefully, they would find that there was a big difference between him and Star Venerable J Divinity. Could it be Star Venerable J Divinity? Someone shouted out the legendary name in a trembling voice. Following that, the cultivators next to him all revealed looks of horror. Star Venerable J Divinity is dead. Dead? Isn't he in front of us now? Gosh, this is unbelievable. Star Venerable J Divinity is not dead. He came to take revenge. Chapter 1998. When Star Venerable J Divinity showed his face, everyone was startled. Star Venerable J Divinity, who had been thought to be dead, suddenly appeared in front of them. How could they not be startled? They had wondered why Etianyan had provoked a strong enemy. Now it seemed he had not provoked a strong enemy. Instead, Star Venerable J Divinity had come to take revenge. Star Venerable J Divinity has come back to take revenge? He is much stronger than Star Venerable J Divinity. Bulsh asterisk T. Come back to take revenge? He is not dead at all. It seems the news about Star Venerable J Divinity's death is fake. It seems the news is fake. Star Venerable J Divinity was the Star Venerable who controlled this area. How could he be dead? It seems he hid on purpose. Maybe he was in seclusion. Now he suddenly appeared. Star Lord Heavenly Cloud. No, Star Venerable Heavenly Cloud is doomed. Although Star Venerable Heavenly Cloud has broken through, there is still a big gap between him and the previous king. If he is defeated, Won't we be ruled by the ancestral land of the Jade divinity again? Will we have to change masters in such a short time? They turned pale. If the ancestral land of the Jade divinity took over again, they would have to clean up again. They were already in a deficit. If they had to clean up again, they would have to sell their properties. When Han Long and the others saw Star Venerable Jade divinity, they also turned pale. They had not expected him to be such an opponent. They had been wondering who his opponent was. Now that the truth had been revealed, the result was even more unacceptable. A King Star Venerable, a real super expert, had appeared in front of them. Could Tianyan deal with him? Sir, he will surely win. Qin Shui clenched her small hands and said, gnashing her teeth, Sir has always created miracles. This time is no exception. Even if his opponent is an experienced Star Venerable, he will still be able to deal with him. That's right. Sir will win. Han Long and the others nodded heavily. They only have this belief now, that Tianyan will definitely win. In other people's eyes, they were just trying to comfort themselves. Facing such an experienced king, how could a guy who had just broken through have a high chance of winning? At the same time, a shadow appeared behind Star Venerable Jade divinity. It was a level 6 Star Dharma Laksana. This pair of father and son had identical Dharma idols. However, the starlight deity summoned by Star Sovereign Jade divinity was much stronger. Not only was it several times bigger, but there were also several balls of light revolving around the starlight deity's head. Thanks to the support of the star power, Star Venerate Jade deity's head was enveloped by 23 cubic meters of star power. 23 cubic meters of astral power was another record. At least, it was the strongest astral power that Tianyan had ever seen. Pieces of silver light sprinkled down like the Milky Way. Die, mortal! Star Sovereign Jade divinity pointed with his finger, his eyes flashing with dazzling starlight. Dazzling world illumination. Boom! The Starlight Wisdom King brandished his strongest starlight energy and descended from above. All of his energy turned into countless light swords and pierced towards Tianyan. Each of the light swords contained the power of destruction, trying to pierce through Tianyan. In the face of the countless light swords enveloping him, the other party had already unleashed his strongest power. How could he possibly show weakness? Devour the starry sky. Tianyan's giant eyes flashed. He opened his giant mouth and bit down. Even the star power of a Star Venerable could be swallowed up by him. The giant mouth swallowed Star Sovereign Jade divinity's star power, and it immediately lost 3 cubic meters of astral power. It had dropped from 23 cubic meters of astral power to 20 cubic meters. Tianyan's star power had increased from 20 cubic meters to 23 cubic meters. After breaking through to the Star Venerable realm, Tianyan's star power had jumped from 12 cubic meters to 20 cubic meters in one go. Such an increase was absolutely shocking, especially the increase of a unique Star Dharma idol. The effect was even more terrifying. Star Venerate Jade divinity had originally had an advantage, but now he didn't have any. The remaining advantages had been taken by Tianyan, which could make up for the gap between their cultivation levels. Star Venerate Jade divinity had been able to unleash 23 cubic meters of astral power because of the Starlight Wisdom King. After all, the Starlight Wisdom King's special skill was to increase star power. Under normal circumstances, Star Venerate Jade divinity could only unleash 20 cubic meters of astral power. Cultivators in the middle stage of the Star Venerable realm could only unleash 20 cubic meters of astral power. On the other hand, Tianyan had just broken through to the Star Venerable realm, yet he could already unleash 20 cubic meters of astral power. Now that he had swallowed it, its power was even more terrifying. It can swallow my star power. Star Venerate Jade divinity had never seen such an ability, so he was immediately startled. When the other practitioners saw this, they were inevitably startled. How could a Star Venerable's solid star power be swallowed? The amount that had been swallowed was considered small. If it hadn't been a Star Venerable's star power, 6 or 7 cubic meters of star power would have been swallowed, which would have been even more nature-defying. It wasn't over yet. Etienne's eyes flashed again, and he shouted, "Open again!" The Starlight Wisdom King's special skill also worked on him, and the star power above him expanded again. From 23 cubic meters of astral power, it rushed to 26 cubic meters in one go. Buzz! A giant star suddenly emerged from the Milky Way, and within this giant star was the phantom of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. The essential power was being displayed here. When the five-color divine light shone on Etienne, the dragon scales on his body shone brightly, and he looked like a divine dragon inlaid with countless gems. Of course, it wasn't over yet. Etienne's crazy mode was quickly activated, and his fighting power increased by 8 times. If it were converted into star power, it would be equivalent to 29 or even 30 cubic meters of astral power. However, this wouldn't be displayed on the star power. If it were, it would be a really terrifying scene. After all the star power had been added, Etienne didn't stop. He opened his giant mouth and aimed at the area where Star Venerate Jade Divinity was. He spat angrily, chaotic stars. In an instant, the giant Milky Way and the surroundings rushed toward Star Venerate Jade Divinity. Countless meteorites weren't inferior to the numerous light swords that were shooting over. Boom, boom, boom. The two sides bombarded each other, and explosions kept exploding in the air. When the two sides collided, they exploded, and both sides won. For a moment, they were in a deadlock, and there was no winner or loser. How is this possible? How could a newly advanced Star Venerable have such great power? Star Venerate Jade Divinity opened his eyes wide. He had almost gone all out, and he had wanted to kill his opponent with one strike, but he hadn't expected that he would end up in a tie with his opponent, which was far beyond his expectations. When he thought the deadlock would be over, Etienne suddenly raised his head and opened his giant mouth. The five-colored Emperor Dragon star above him fell into his mouth. Then Etienne opened his mouth again and spat at Star Venerate Jade Divinity. Chaotic Stars, Dragon, Dawn. Chapter 1999. The huge star broke through all the light swords and rushed towards Star Venerable Jade Divinity. It covered a wide area, making it impossible for Star Venerable Jade Divinity to escape. No matter how fast he could not escape the area covered by the star. Star Venerable Jade Divinity stared. He had never expected Etienne to be able to unleash such a terrifying power. He had used most of his power, but it was still not as good as Etienne's attack. "Get back!" Star Venerable Jade Divinity roared. The Starlight Wisdom King behind him fused with him, turning him into a huge Starlight Wisdom King. He waved his giant palm and slapped the huge star that was rushing towards him. Dong, dong, dong. He kept slapping the huge star in a frenzy. There were also countless light swords that bombarded the huge star. However, the effect was minimal. The huge star came crashing down. It was unstoppable. "No!" Star Venerable Jade Divinity roared. The huge star didn't stop attacking because of his roar. It continued to press down on him, pushing him up into the void. If it pressed down on the ground, the area would be destroyed. When Star Venerable Jade Divinity was pushed high into the sky, the huge star suddenly exploded. A deafening sound spread out in all directions. Even Grandmaster Xing, who has a relatively strong cultivation, felt his ears go deaf. Moreover, those ripples caused them to be shaken and retreat backwards. Huff, huff, huff. Is it over? Etienne gasped for breath. He had used all his strength in that move. After the explosion, he stood in the void, panting. The phantom behind him had disappeared. He had directly used a killer move. The consumption was so shocking that his unique Star Dharma idol had to shrink back. If he still could not defeat Star Venerable Jade Divinity, then he really had no other way. This was the strongest power he had used so far. It was impossible for him to get any stronger, unless his cultivation improved, or he combined it with other moves or weapons. It would be difficult for him to obtain more power. He wasn't the only one who wanted to know about Star Venerate Jade God's situation. The others were also staring at the situation to see if Star Venerate Jade God was dead. They did not know if Star Sovereign Jade God was dead or not, but Tianyin was certain that he was still alive. The system had not sent any notifications, which meant that Star Sovereign Jade God was definitely still alive. What he needed to know was the extent of Star Venerate Jade Divinity's injuries. If he was so injured that he couldn't move, then he would just need to add a small cut. If he was completely unscathed or only slightly injured, it would be difficult to deal with him. However, he believed that his moves would definitely hurt Star Venerate Jade Divinity. He didn't believe that his moves would be able to harm Star Venerate Jade Divinity. He was confident that even a Star Venerable in the late stage would be injured, let alone a Star Venerable in the middle stage. After the explosion disappeared, a figure fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. With a bang, the originally uneven ground was smashed into a huge pit. Everyone turned to look and saw a small half of the body lying there. Who else could it be other than Star Venerate Jade Divinity? Star Venerate Jade Divinity had only a small half of his body left after the attack. Even half of his head was left. He was severely injured. It would be great if he could even move, let alone get up. I'm the dignified Star Venerate Jade Divinity. Star Venerate Jade Divinity twisted the small half of his body. He wanted to recover his body, but the recovery speed was quite slow. It could only be said that the injuries caused by Tianyin's attack had consumed most of his energy. He didn't have enough energy to recover his body. Tianyin's eyes lit up. He quickly flew toward the area where Star Venerate Jade Divinity was. Even though he had consumed a lot of energy, he could still exert a certain amount of power. Soon he arrived beside Star Venerate Jade Divinity and said with a faint smile, "So what if you were the dignified Star Venerate Jade Divinity? You will still be defeated by me in the end." Star Venerate Jade Divinity was so angry that he wanted to jump up. However, he found that he couldn't do that. He could only twist a little and stare with his single eye. He wanted to swallow Tianyin alive. There is no need for you. When you die, your enemies won't come to kill you. Look, I'm kind enough to help you solve a big problem. Now, you don't have to worry about being discovered. Tianyin looked at him with a mocking expression. Star Venerate Jade Divinity stared at him. Even though he only had one eye, he still had a sharp aura. I admit that you are strong. However, since you have swallowed that treasure, I think you will be hunted down. Star Venerate Jade Divinity laughed. If you have the ability, then hand it over. However, I believe that you will not hand it over. Ha ha ha. Star Venerate Jade Divinity knew that he was going to die, so he laughed. Don't worry, I'm not a coward like you. What I have is mine, and no one can take it away from me. Tianyin sneered as he lifted his foot and stomped on Star Venerate Jade Divinity's head. He didn't hesitate at all. Ding! Successfully killed Star Venerate Jade Divinity. Obtained 120 million star energy points. Starlight Deity Starlight Aspect. Ding! Successfully completed special mission. Liberate the Empyrean Ancestral Land Slave Imprint. Obtained one chance to evolve the system. Accumulates. He had finally killed Star Venerate Jade Divinity and completely liberated all the Empyrean Ancestral Land Slave Imprint. Now he had finally resolved a knot in his heart. However, there was a new problem. What was inside the star ring? Star Venerate Jade Divinity must have stolen something and given it to his son. At the same time, he hid himself and waited for the situation to stabilize before taking it out. It seems that I have to check what's inside the star ring. Since Star Venerate Jade Divinity was chased to this state, it can't be anything bad. Tianyin recalled Star Venerate Jade Divinity's words before he died. When he turned around, he saw a group of people staring at him in a daze. Such a powerful Star Venerate Jade Divinity had been killed. The ancestral land of Jade Divinity had really been wiped out. Not a single person was left alive. The king of the past died, just like that. Star Venerate Heavenly Cloud is really powerful. He is the real king, the king of our area. Fortunately, star venerate J divinity didn't occupy this place again. Otherwise, we would have been robbed again. The group of people was shocked, but they also felt happy. After all, it was a good thing that they had one. At the very least, it was much better than the tyranny of the ancestral land of Jade Divinity. Han Long and the others were very excited. Now, they really were the kings of this area. When the time came, they would be able to do whatever they wanted, and no one would dare to disobey them. Chapter 2000. The news of Star Venerate Jade Deity's death swept the area again, shocking some of the forces that had left long ago. Some of them wondered if it was fake news. Wasn't Star Venerate Jade Deity dead? How could he still appear here? It was obviously a rumor. However, when the recording disc appeared, they were all shocked by what they saw. Even if it wasn't Star Venerate Jade Deity, it couldn't have been much worse. The most shocking thing was Etienne's performance. Those who had resentment in their hearts could no longer feel any resentment. In the face of such terrible power, who would dare to resist? If someone found out that they had any resentment, they could just come over and give them a slap, and everything would be gone. For a moment, many forces took out all kinds of treasures to offer. Even if Etienne hadn't said anything about offering anything, they still took the initiative to do so. They even said that they were congratulating Etienne for defeating the ancestral land of Jade Deity and the evil forces. In the end, strength was the most important thing. With strength, everything was right, and no one dared to question it. No matter what happened outside, Etienne returned to the ancestral land of Empyrean Terminus and began to check the things inside the star ring. However, before that, he needed to break the star ring's protection to see what was inside. Let me see what's inside the star ring. Etienne took out Star Venerate Jade Deity's star ring and carefully checked it. The structure is really exquisite. It will be a little difficult to break it. Etienne immediately began to pour his power into the star ring, forcibly breaking the seal. If the owner was still alive, it would be a little difficult to break it. But now that the owner was dead, the difficulty was much lower. Even so, he still needed some time. As he poured his power into the star ring, the seal inside began to disappear quickly. In less than a moment, it was easily broken. It was as if he had the key and could easily open the door. So easy. Etienne was shocked by himself. He had thought that it would take some time to break it. Who knew that it would be so easy to break it? This reminded him of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. Could it be the effect of the five-colored Emperor Dragon that could easily remove these imprints? The slave imprint can be easily broken, and even the master imprint can be broken so easily. Etienne was confused. He did not fully understand the five-colored Emperor Dragon's abilities. Thinking about it carefully, the slave imprint and the master imprint were indeed a little similar. In that case, wouldn't it be easy to remove the imprint if he found a similar treasure in the future? Under normal circumstances, as long as the owner of the treasure was still alive, it would be extremely difficult to remove it. Not only would it take a lot of effort, but it would also be easily discovered. Now that he could easily dispel it, it meant that when he obtained the treasure in the future, he could immediately dispel it. To give a very simple example, if someone threw a weapon or something at him, and he touched it slightly, the owner's mark would be removed. At that time, the other party wouldn't be able to take it back. He wouldn't even have a weapon to use, and his combat power would be halved. It seems this ability is quite useful. It will be very useful in the future. Etienne's eyes lit up. Then he turned his attention to the things in the astral ring. When he checked the things in the astral ring, he saw a pile of treasures as soon as he went in. All kinds of martial techniques, weapons, and elixirs were piled up in the ring. As one of the controllers of the ancestral land of the Jade God, how could his family be poor? However, that was not what he was paying attention to. He was looking for strange things. Soon he found something strange, a black wooden box. He searched the whole place. The most special thing was the black wooden box, which was piled up in a corner. He took it out of the astral ring and held it in his hand. It was very heavy. His cultivation was at the Star Venerable level. Even a Star Venerable like him found it a bit heavy. This meant this thing was not simple. Just to pick it up one would need to be at least a star lord to take it away. If one's cultivation was lower, it would be impossible to take it away. What is in it? Even I am interested in it. Etianyun felt there were few things in the world that could interest him. Thinking of the Jade God Star Venerable's words, he did not take it seriously. It might be tempting for others, but for him, it was not bad. Then he reached out to open the wooden box. He did not need to use too much strength. He just lifted the box slightly, and it opened. What came into his sight was a small baby. Right, it was a baby. Of course, it was not a real baby, but an energy nascent soul. Energy nascent soul. After refining it, it could become a second life and become one's clone. It could not only practice, but it could also fight. It was a real life. So its clone technique. Etienne's eyes lit up. Previously, he had a divine skill that allowed him to create a clone, but it's a fake clone with limited combat power, and most importantly, it has a time limit. This time, there was no time limit, and it was a real clone. Even if the original body died, there would be a clone which could continue to live. The key was that cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. With two cells cultivating at the same time, one could imagine how fast it would be. No wonder the Jade God Star Venerable was so crazy about it. It was a treasure that was extremely attractive to all cultivators. It is indeed a little attractive. Even I find it a little attractive. Etianyun smiled faintly. It was attractive to him, but not very strong. If he really did not want it, it would not be a problem. His real trump card was the system. That was the biggest attraction. He had seen the best, but he could still maintain a calm expression in the face of the energy nascent soul. For other cultivators, they would probably go crazy. This was like having an extra life. It was much safer to hide the original body and let the clone move around in the outside world. I don't know where he got it. This thing is really precious. No wonder he hid when he was being chased. Anyone who had this thing stolen would go crazy. Etianyun shook his head and put away the energy nascent soul. It was not that he did not want to refine it, but he did not have the materials. If he wanted to refine it, he needed two things: the 9 Revolution Stargrass and the Jade Soul Stone. He had the 9 Revolution Stargrass, but he did not have the Jade Soul Stone. It was no wonder that the Jade God Star Venerable had not refined this treasure for so long. He did not even have the most basic materials. How could he refine it? Chapter 2001. Jade Soul Stone. Looks like I'll have to look for it. It's not a bad thing to have another clone. Although Etianyun was not crazy, it was a good thing to have another clone. Having another clone to help him would definitely be a great help. He had a deep understanding of this in the past. All kinds of puppets could save him a lot of time and effort. Now that he had another clone, of course, it was a good thing. But if I want to refine it, I'll have to get rid of the brand on it. No wonder he was so cautious. It won't be easy to refine it right away. I'll be found out easily. Etianyun also found a brand inside, the Energy Yuanying. This brand was similar to the Master's brand. It must have been left behind by the owner of this thing. Not to mention refining it. Just showing it outside would probably be found out. No wonder there was a wooden box that had locked it. It was to block all senses. Therefore, Etianyun only glanced at it and immediately closed it. He did not dare to look at it too much. Right? I could try to get rid of the brand. Etianyun squinted his eyes. He thought of his 5-colored Emperor Dragon Star Dharma. Maybe he could use that ability to get rid of it easily. That way, he would be able to look at it or use it at will. He could also see if the 5-colored Emperor Dragon could get rid of the brand easily. Shortly after, he opened the wooden box again. This time, he was extremely fast. He immediately extended his hand and grabbed the energy nascent soul. The image of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon immediately appeared behind him and cut into it with a powerful force. Then, he quickly removed the energy brand. He did not get rid of it in seconds. Instead, he got rid of it bit by bit. This speed was already very fast. At this speed, it would not be long before he could get rid of it easily. The Master's brand seems to be quite strong, but can still be erased. Etianyun squinted his eyes. This meant that the Master was very strong, so the brand would be very difficult to get rid of. No wonder Star Venerable Jade Deity would hide. To be able to leave such a strong brand, his cultivation must be very strong. Not to say how strong, but at least he was much stronger than Star Venerable Jade Deity. After a while, he completely erased the owner's mark, and what was left was a truly ownerless object. After becoming an ownerless item, he would be able to inspect it at will and wouldn't have to worry about its owner finding it. If it was in the past, he would be worried, but it was different now. He could check it at will. In fact, there was nothing much to check out now. He had seen everything he needed to see. He just wanted to test out the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's abilities. The effect did not disappoint him. He was able to easily remove the corresponding imprint. It took a little more time than expected, but it was still within acceptable limits. If he were to spend more time, he would definitely stop. If he were to spend more time, he would definitely be discovered. At the same time, in one of the regions, a man's eyes were cold. Strange, the connection has been completely cut off. Who could have erased my imprint in such a short time? The speed is too fast. I can't find any traces at all. The distance is too far. But whatever, I can find the corresponding area. I must find that thief and tear him to pieces. With a cold snort, the young man tore through the void and moved forward. When Tianyan finished checking the items in the star ring, he nodded with satisfaction. There are quite a lot of treasures. It's enough to increase the power of the lower worlds. Tianyan stood up, his eyes filled with excitement. It's time to go back. I wonder what the situation in the lower worlds is like now. He could finally return to the lower worlds. After killing Star Venerate Jade Deity, the slave imprint disappeared completely. At the same time, he released his control to the outside world. In this way, Tianyan could travel through any space without worrying about being restricted by the space. He then summoned the drug deity and Dangfeng. Both of them had come from the lower worlds, so he would naturally bring them back. Soon, both of them appeared in front of Tianyan. When they found out why they were summoned, they were both excited. Great, we can finally go back. They were extremely excited. They had worked so hard here for so long. Didn't they want to return to their hometown to have a look? Dangfeng was even more amazing. He wanted to redeem his hometown and make him the master. However, this was false information. It was impossible for him to become the master. It was just a fantasy that the celestial Terminus Star Lord had given them. In reality, it was impossible. The true control was not in his hands. How could he use his military merits to exchange for it? That's right. Let's go back now and see the situation in our hometown. Tianyan looked at the teleportation formation in front of him. Through this teleportation formation, he would be able to return to his hometown. Shortly after, he waved his hand and quickly activated the teleportation array. After the three of them suppressed their strength, they stepped into the teleportation array and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were in a spacious area. At the moment, this area was shrouded in darkness. There was no color at all as far as the eye could see. It seemed to be shrouded by some evil substance. What happened? Dangfeng and the others were stunned. When they saw the situation in front of them, they were shocked. The surrounding environment was completely shrouded by a black substance. If they looked closely, they would see that there was a large hole in the void beside them. Countless black substances were surging out and surging in all directions. It seemed to be devouring the entire world. As long as it touched an area, it would be devoured by this black substance. What is this thing? Tianyan's heart sank. He never thought that such a thing would appear. When he looked carefully, detailed information immediately appeared in front of him. Dark substance, a product of the evil spirit race. It could devour everything around it and absorb energy for its own use. Evil spirit race? What's going on? Didn't I destroy the evil spirit race? Tianyan's heart sank. Before he left, he had destroyed all the evil spirit race. Basically, not a single one was left. But now, a pile of dark substance had appeared, and it was related to the evil spirit race. This made him very confused. However, when he saw that the void had been broken, he couldn't help but suspect that the evil spirit race had broken through the barrier of the world and was coming here. Although the worlds were different, in theory, they were all spaces and could be passed through. This was similar to the celestial pole, ancestral land. It was also possible to create a space-time gate, but the difficulty was too high. Recently, I heard that there are not many star disciples coming up to the lower realm. Could it be that they are all entangled by this thing? Deng Feng and the others were in charge of the lower realm. When they saw the situation around them, they immediately thought of what had happened recently. Chapter 2002. In the Chaos Realm, a large number of barriers have been set up to seal off the area. However, the black substance still managed to enter and corrode the area. There were no enemies. The black substance kept surging in and corroding their world. Celestial Empress, if this continues, I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on for long. The black substance is too strong. No matter what we do, we can't destroy it. One by one, the god generals reported to Shi Xiuyun. They told Shi Xiuyun the latest situation. Other than Shi Xiuyun, there were many other god generals around. They were all top experts of their respective worlds. They were all trapped in the Chaos Realm, or rather, when this situation occurred, they quickly gathered together to form their strongest combat power to resist the black substance. The result was obvious. Even if they tried their best, they could only stop the black substance from invading. They couldn't destroy it completely. What about the Fecta Domain Lord? Has he figured it out? Shi Xiuyun asked. The Fecta Domain Lord stepped forward. His familiar face hadn't changed. His eyes were still filled with wisdom. The Fecta Domain Lord looked exhausted. After all the torment, the Fecta Domain Lord was also mentally and physically exhausted. From the moment he discovered the black substance, he had been researching it. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find a way to get rid of it. This was evident from the fact that the other worlds had been devoured. So many worlds have been devoured, but he still hadn't found anything. It's still not working. I don't think there's anything that can get rid of it. For example, one of us has broken through to the God Emperor level. The Fecta Domain Lord shook his head and sighed. He had to face the truth. God Emperor level? It's already very fast. Shi Xiuyun's gaze turned to the inner region. There was already one person who was about to break through to the God Emperor level. He was Yi Tianyun's eldest disciple, Tan Tiankong. He used to be a cripple, but now he was about to break through to the God Emperor level. Yi Tianyun had many disciples. Tan Tiankong was the closest to the God Emperor level. Although the others had broken through to the late stage, they were still a distance away. Tan Tiankong was about to break through to the God Emperor level. He seemed to be faster than Yi Tianyun's daughter, Yi Xue. Boom! Suddenly, a pillar of light shot into the sky. A beautiful figure flew out. Upon closer inspection, it was Yi Xue, like a goddess of a generation. Her entire body emitted a dazzling light. Her eyes were filled with resplendent light, and she seemed to be able to suppress everything with a raise of her hand. I didn't expect you to be a step faster than me. Tan Tiankong looked at Yi Xue, smiled, and stood up. He was racing with Yi Xue to see who would be the first to break through to the God Emperor stage. However, Yi Xue was the first to do so. In this world, there could only be one God Emperor, so he had no chance unless Yi Xue left this world. After breaking through, Yi Xue flew to Shi Xiuyun's side and smiled. Mother, I didn't let you down, right? Shi Xiuyun hugged her daughter excitedly and smiled. You have never let me down. If your father is here, he will be proud of you. Of Lord of E, of Mother, I got of E of they were in a hurry to break through. They wanted to have the power to get rid of the dark matter. Go. Shi Xiuyun nodded, her eyes full of hope. The others were looking forward to Yi Xue's performance. Everything depended on her. Yi Xue's body leaped up, soaring 90,000 kilometers into the air. She transformed into a streak of rainbow light that pierced through the air, and wherever she passed by, the dark matter would rapidly melt. Soon, the dark matter was easily destroyed by her domineering power. Great! It could be destroyed. Their eyes lit up. No amount of research could compare to the improvement of cultivation. In fact, their research was also something that they had no other choice. In the absence of powerhouses, they could only study the dark matter and then destroy it through other means. The truth was that there was no substitute for the power brought about by cultivation. The overbearing power easily destroyed the dark matter. Just as they thought that the dark matter could be easily destroyed, the destroyed dark matter suddenly grew stronger, transforming into a giant skull that condensed in the void. I didn't expect to see a star apostle in this small world. That's beyond my expectations. But that's all. It must have been hard for you to cultivate a star apostle. The giant skull laughed mockingly. It seems that you're the one who caused our world to become like this. Go to hell. Isishue was furious. Her home had become like this because of the skull. She exploded in anger and slapped the skeleton with a backhand. You're just an ant. Do you think you are invincible just because you have broken through to the star apostle level? The skull sneered. It moved its mouth, and the dark matter around it moved toward Isishue. This time, the dark matter seemed to be dozens of times stronger. It easily blocked Isishue's attack. At the same time, it blocked her escape route and surrounded her. What's going on? Isishue kept attacking fiercely. Even if she used all her strength, she could not break through the defense at all. Not to mention her. Even the others were stunned when they saw this scene. This was an emperor god, the most powerful force in the world. How could it not have any effect? Keep struggling, keep struggling. The skull laughed and pressed forward. It wanted to see Isishue's desperate expression. Soon, Isishue's dark matter wrapped around Isishue's body and fixed her in place. As soon as she was fixed in place, the dark matter began to corrode her body. Her body slowly turned black. At this rate, Isishue would soon be completely devoured. Shuer. Shueyun was shocked. As a mother, she quickly flew over to help. Even though her cultivation level was not high enough, she subconsciously rushed over to protect her child. Mother, don't come over. You can't deal with him. Isishue shouted hurriedly, signaling to Shueyun not to come over. Shueyun did not listen. Not only her, but the others also flew over to help. Ha, bunch of ants. I will devour as many as you come. The skull laughed. It felt that these ants were really ridiculous. They were obviously not a match for it, but they still rushed over. But first, devour this guy to replenish some energy. Then it increased its strength. Isishue's face turned pale. She was about to be devoured. Father, I am afraid I will never see you again. Isishue's eyes gradually became empty. She felt her life force rapidly draining away. Chapter 2003. A ray of hope instantly filled Isishue's eyes. She seemed to see her father's figure in the light. Then a figure broke through the giant skeleton. Everything turned into nothingness and disappeared in the air. Then Isishue fell into a warm embrace. When she took a closer look, she found it was her father who had saved her. Father! Isishue turned pale. She looked at Tianyun in disbelief. She had thought she would never see her father again. My child, it's all right. I'm back. Tianyun grabbed her arm. Then a gust of energy gushed into her. Isishue's condition recovered instantly. She even recovered to her peak state. At that moment, Shueyun flew over. She looked at him in a daze. Soon her eyes turned red. You're willing to come back? Shueyun bit her lip. She was still a strong girl. However, she couldn't be strong in front of Tianyun. I'm sorry. I'm late. Tianyun put down his daughter and went up to Shueyun. Shueyun was still beautiful, but she looked very haggard. She had been disturbed by those things over the years. How could she not look haggard? At that moment, the dark matter next to them gathered and turned into a giant skeleton again. What's going on? How could such a strong power come here? The giant skeleton looked at Tianyun in shock. It looked him up and down, but it couldn't see through Tianyun's cultivation level. Tianyun flicked his finger. He said calmly, disappear. I'll eliminate your roots. Just wait and see. As he flicked his finger, a beam of light shot out. At the same time, the five-colored Emperor Dragon's shadow rose behind him and engulfed the whole mortal realm quickly. The giant dragon's shadow could engulf the whole mortal realm easily. The mortal realm seemed large, but it was still much smaller than the ancestral lands. Therefore, his power could easily engulf the whole mortal realm. He could even engulf 100 mortal realms let alone one mortal realm. He was now a star venerable, not a star apostle. What kind of power is this? The skeleton let out a blood-curdling shriek and completely disappeared from this world. The dark matter in every corner of the lower realm rapidly disappeared, leaving not a single trace behind. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. All of the dark matter was destroyed effortlessly. The Fekta Protectorate ruler and the others were dumbfounded by this terrifying power. In their opinion, even if Tianyin had broken through to become a god emperor, his breakthrough should have been limited over the years. Why was there such a huge gap between them? She was much stronger than Shue, and they weren't even on the same level. In the blink of an eye, the dark matter that trapped them was easily destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Just this point alone was enough to scare them. All right, now that all the distractions have been removed, we can have a proper gathering. Holding Shuiyun's little hand, Tianyin said with a smile, "Let's have a proper gathering as a family. And I also want to apologize to you." "You don't need to apologize. It's enough that you came back." Shuiyun's eyes were red. "And tell us what you did outside during this time." "Well, I will explain the situation to you all." Tianyin turned his head and looked at the familiar faces. His heart was filled with emotion. Although it hadn't been a long time since he went up, several hundred years had passed. It seemed like a short period of time, but in fact a long time had passed. "I'm back." Tianyin looked at them and said with a smile, "Thank you for protecting the three realms all these years." "No, it's you. In the end, it was you who protected the three realms. Our power wasn't enough to protect the three realms. It was our negligence." Their eyes were also red. They were very touched that Tianyin could come back. Every time at a critical moment, it was Tianyin who came back to save them. This made them feel very ashamed. "You can't say that. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid this place would have been occupied by this dark matter." Tianyin smiled. "Come, let's go back first and have a good gathering. At the same time, I have something to discuss with you. Of course, before that, I want to let you see some familiar faces." Tianyin reached out and gestured for Defeng and the drug god to come down. Soon, Dangfeng and the drug god appeared in front of them. They didn't feel anything when they saw Dangfeng, but when the people of the Divine Medicine Temple saw the drug god, they were dumbfounded. Ancestor! Ancestor! They were all stunned, wondering if they were seeing things. Ever since they were deceived last time, they all thought that their ancestor was dead or had really disappeared from this world. They didn't expect to see them again. They were all stunned. "Are you the descendants of the Divine Medicine Temple?" "Not bad." The drug god didn't know what to say. He hadn't been back for a long time, and his heart was also very complicated. As for Dangfeng, he was also touched. He saw the Heaven Creator clan at a glance. The Heaven Creator clan was his descendants, and seeing so many of his descendants, he was also very touched. All that was left was to have a good gathering. They all went down to celebrate. It was not only to celebrate the return of Tianyin, but also to celebrate the safety of the Chaos Realm. Soon, they went down to hold a feast. It could be said that it was a worldwide celebration. Everyone, regardless of race or region, celebrated together. While celebrating, Tianyin told Shiyun and the others the details of what had happened. After learning about it, they were all scared out of their wits. They all thought that star apostles were the most powerful, but they didn't expect that they were only the weakest. Not only that, but there were also many other terrifying things. After learning about it, they were worried, but also surprised by Tianyin's strength. "Father, are you invincible now?" Shue had admired her father since she was a child, so she was definitely overjoyed to hear that her father was so strong. "Invincible?" Tianyin shook his head and said, "I'm not invincible, just a little powerful, but don't be arrogant. No matter what, don't be arrogant, understand?" "I understand." Shue nodded. "Even if she has Tianyin's halo, she's not arrogant. She's always working hard." As they continued to talk, a pleasant voice suddenly sounded in Tianyin's ear. "Successfully completed the main mission, unify the entire Chaos Realm. Reward, system evolution." "Huh? Completed?" Tianyin was stunned by the news. He had just returned, How could it be completed? Now that he thought about it carefully, he had dealt with all the potential problems. Furthermore, his powerful strength had intimidated everyone. Chapter 2004. Etienne had thought that he was going to unify the worlds and conquer them one by one before subduing them. Now it was much easier. They had probably seen how strong Etienne was, so they had obediently obeyed him. The dark matter, which was difficult for them to deal with, had already killed their companions or subordinates, but Etienne had easily destroyed it with a snap of his fingers. How could they not submit to such a powerful force? Disobeying him would only lead to death. Moreover, they had resisted the dark matter together over the years, and they had developed a deep bond. Etienne was their ruler, and he was strong now. Naturally, they would submit immediately. As soon as the process was completed, a notification popped up. System complete evolution. This was something he had been longing for, and now was finally going to be accomplished. Ding! System evolution activated. Ding! 10 million star energy points will be deducted. Will you deduct? 10 million star energy points will be deducted. Fortunately, I killed a star venerable, so this doesn't apply. Etienne's eyes flashed, and he immediately issued an order. Deductions allowed. Ding! 10 million star energy points deducted. System evolution commencing. Ding! System shop evolution commencing. Ding! System set shop evolution commencing. Ding! System fusion mode commencing. The system had truly started its comprehensive plan. It could now bring everything that it had been unable to bring with it. However, there were some skills that had yet to be evolved. Unless Etienne spent his own star energy on them, they would not be suitable for him to use. Soon, the system's evolution was complete. It upgraded everything that needed to be upgraded, and some that could not be upgraded would require him to spend his star energy on them. For example, skills like Star Tattooist would require him to spend his star energy on them. However, he could at least spend his star energy, which was better than being unable to do anything before and only being able to watch. If Etienne really wanted to upgrade them, it was not that there was no way, but he would have to slowly comprehend them himself. However, he did not have that much time. The most important thing was to quickly take over this world. Thus, he had been rushing forward without stopping, and he had no time to cultivate his star tattooist skills. It was different now. As long as he had star energy, everything could be upgraded. Very well, then upgrade the lucky halo from me. Ding! 500,000 star energy points have been deducted. Lucky aura has been upgraded to rank 1. Luck is increased by 10 times. It consumes 1 star energy point per second. The luck aura was of utmost importance. If he wanted more good items to drop, he needed to have a higher luck. His luck points did not seem to have any effect on this. He could only rely on the lucky aura. Let me take a look at what's in the set shop. Etienne was still very excited. He wasn't too interested in the equipment on the list. Set equipment was the way to go. At a glance, he could see that there were already new sets of equipment. There were no extras. Starlight War God set, Star Sector level. When equipped, increases defense by 50 times, strength by 15 times, and increases light attribute damage. At the same time, it can also increase star power levels. Different star power levels have different effects. At the same time, he also had the War God's Fury, which could instantly increase his strength by 30 times and nullify the damage of his opponent's attacks. Not bad. Etienne's eyes lit up. This thing was not bad. The increase in stats was quite shocking, especially since it could increase star power levels. If he equipped it, he would be able to crush the equipment of countless powerhouses. He then looked at the store. The items in the store had not changed. It was similar to the previous model, which was to display items that he had owned before. There would not be any items that he did not have. This was the same old model. There were no changes. Lucky draw system. Etienne realized that the lucky draw system was gone. It was still there before, but in its place was a system to increase kill points and good points. When these 2 points reached a certain level, there would be a corresponding item. No matter which one it was, it could be increased. Etienne glanced at it. After reaching 1,000 points, he could exchange for an item. There were several lists on it: bloodline, divine skill, divine medicine, and special item. He had been seeing this list along the way, and he could only choose one of them. Since he had just obtained it, the value was still 0. Thus, he could not try what he could exchange for after reaching that level. This is the good and evil exchange system. It's quite interesting. Etienne took a closer look. In fact, the so-called good and evil could be categorized as good. Kill points could not be obtained by killing random people. Instead, they could only be increased by killing some big demons or getting rid of evil. There is no need to talk about good deeds, as they could be obtained by directly helping others. After looking at this, he looked at the other things. Generally speaking, those that should have been upgraded had already been upgraded. As for the rest, it would depend on his needs, and then he would raise it. If he kept smashing one of them, it would probably not be enough. Just like before, he would upgrade it when he needed it. That would be the most efficient. For example, if he wanted to break a certain star pattern, he would have to upgrade his Star Rune Master level. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing if he wanted to refine pills, but did not have enough star energy to upgrade. Father, what are you smiling about? Issei Shue and the others looked at Etienne in confusion. From the beginning, Etienne had been smiling, and his expression changed a lot. They didn't know what he was thinking. Issei Shue finally couldn't help but ask. She didn't know what Etienne was so happy about. Cough, 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 it's nothing. I just feel happy thinking about something. Etienne raised his glass and smiled. Here, I propose a toast to everyone. Once again, thank you for protecting this place. Without your protection, I'm afraid this place would have fallen a long time ago. Heavenly Cloud's great emperor, you are too kind. One by one, they raised their glasses one after another. They felt a little ashamed of what Etienne said. They really can't afford it. This is not an exaggeration. It seems that you couldn't resist, but without you, this place would have fallen soon. In the future, when I'm not here, I still need you to protect every inch of this land and not let any foreign enemies invade. Etienne looked at them and said in a deep voice, the level of cultivation is not the point. The most important thing is that you have the heart to protect. Here, I propose a toast to everyone. Thank you. At a glance, they were all very important people. For example, Jiu Lingyun, Yi Wei, and Yi Qingxian. They were all very important women around him. Over the years, they have been in charge of the overall situation. Chapter 2005. After the banquet ended, things were not completely over. What Etienne needed to do was to investigate the origin of this dark matter. Obviously, it would not have come for no reason. There had to be some secret plan. Even if it was just passing by and saw a force, it would be swallowed up. This was their business. What Etienne needed to do was very simple, and that was to destroy them all as the prize for their invasion. Etienne had always had an attitude of not offending others if the enemy did not offend him. Now that they had forced his force to such an extent, if he had not returned in time, it would really have been destroyed. When he returned and found that everything had been swallowed up, it would really be too late for regrets. But before that, Etienne first transferred them to the ancestral land. It was not safe here, but at least it was much safer up there. After all, he still had many subordinates up there. Soon, he transferred Shuyun and the others up there and arranged for them to cultivate in an area. In a completely new environment, without too many restrictions, they all easily broke through to the Star Apostle level. According to the rules of the lower world, they could only have one Star Apostle, and they could only continue to break through after the Star Apostle left. There were no restrictions on the ancestral land, and they could break through at will, so they could easily break through. In addition, they had the resources provided by Etienne, so they improved in batches all at once. First, Shuyun and Etienne's disciples all broke through to the Star Apostle level. The rest were Yi Qingxian and the others, who were close to Etienne, who also caught up and successfully broke through to the Star Apostle level. Originally, breaking through to the Star Apostle level was a very happy thing. But after understanding the situation here, the original excitement quickly turned into calmness. After all, There were many star apostles here, and they could not be happy for too long even if they succeeded in breaking through. At most, they would be a little excited, but there was nothing to be excited about. The rest of the arrangements were left to Han Long and the others to make. Now, that sure Xu Yun and the others could not be in power, they had to improve their cultivation level first. Without cultivation level, they basically had no right to speak, so it was better to settle here first. For example, after his cultivation had stabilized, he would check the grade of his star aspect. Everything had to be in place. All of this required a lot of time. After settling everything down, Tianyun returned to the lower realm. When he returned to the lower realms again, this place was already completely empty. There were no cultivators left. All of them moved away by him. This place will eventually have to be abandoned. Tianyun shook his head and lamented. In fact, the worlds here could be moved away, but he didn't. After all, the resources here were not good enough for him, so he could only choose to give it up. If the old does not go, the new will not come. Any random item in the upper realm was much better than the ones here, so there was no point in keeping it. After that, his gaze shifted to the broken space. This was the tunnel that the dark matter had entered through. No one knew where it led to, but he knew that this was definitely the source of the dark matter. Since you dare to offend me, I'll kill all of you. With a leap, Tianyun entered the tunnel. After traveling a certain distance, he quickly arrived at another area. This area was also shrouded by the black energy matter, almost covering the entire area. Only a small part of the area resisted the invasion of the black energy matter. This was similar to the situation in the chaotic realm, where everyone was bitterly resisting. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the cultivators in that area were all at a cultivation level lower than that of Star Apostle. It seemed that the area he had entered was actually another small world in the lower realm. It's you. The black matter quickly condensed into a huge skeleton. The one that Tianyun had killed earlier was just one of its clones, so he couldn't be considered to have destroyed this skeleton. That's right, it's me. Then go to hell. Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked his finger. The phantom of the five-colored Emperor Dragon soared into the sky. A terrifying energy light was released, and all the black matter was easily melted. Bastard! The skeleton shouted, but in the end, it was still melted by the light. After the black matter disappeared, the cultivators who had been resisting were stunned. It had suddenly disappeared. At this moment, when they looked up and saw Tianyun, they immediately knew that Tianyun had helped to clean up. Thank you for saving our lives, sir. One by one, they knelt down and were extremely grateful to Tianyun. Tianyun lowered his head and glanced at them. He ignored them and quickly disappeared into the tunnel, heading for another area. He wanted to search all the way until he found the original body of the skeleton. He was just a passerby. The rest of the matter would depend on them to pull themselves together. Interesting. This counts as doing good. Tianyun saw that his good deeds had increased by 10 points. Although he didn't know how to calculate it, saving them was worth 10 points, which was not bad. As for kill points, he didn't gain any. This skeleton was probably a clone. Even if he killed it, it wouldn't increase his kill points at all. If it could keep increasing, he would have profited. However, this was impossible. Shortly after, he quickly traveled to another world. This place was also enveloped by the black matter. As soon as he appeared, the skeleton seemed to have sensed him. It immediately appeared and said sternly, "You are too much. This world has nothing to do with you. Why did you interfere? I said it before. If I don't destroy you, it will be difficult to extinguish the anger in my heart. You dared to invade my territory. I will find your original body," Tianyun said coldly. "Wait, I know it's wrong. However, I didn't know that it was your world. How about this? You name a price. As long as I can afford it, I will compensate you. I hope that after the compensation, you won't pursue my responsibility." The black skeleton started to compromise. He didn't want his energy to be continuously destroyed. "The compensation I want is your life." Tianyun waved his hand again. A ray of light shrouded the area, and the matter in this world was cleaned up again. His actions were seen by the other cultivators again. They saw him as a benefactor. At this time, his good deeds increased by 10 points. This number was a little low, but it accumulated. Following that, Etionyun traveled to other worlds. After continuously destroying the black matter in several worlds, he confirmed that this skeleton was targeting the lower realm. It wanted to devour all these lower realm worlds. Chapter 2006. After Etionyun destroyed the black matter in more than a dozen worlds, when he traveled to another world, he found that the feeling was completely different. He came to an area completely filled with black energy matter. In this area, the feeling was different. It was as if he had come to the ancestral land. It felt like he had returned to the upper realm, but he did not really come to the upper realm. Instead, he entered a small space in the upper realm. In this small world, he used this passage to devour the small worlds below bit by bit. "I've finally found you." Etionyun's eyes turned cold. Soon, he found the skeleton's main body in this world. It was the evil spirit race's Grandmaster Shing. However, this evil spirit race's appearance was much better than before. It was basically not much different from a normal cultivator. Of course, appearance was not the key. No matter how he changed, the evil spirit race's disgusting aura did not change at all. In this area, there were basically all kinds of races, including the evil spirit race. In this area, the evil spirit race was relatively well-behaved, so it did not cause too many problems. If Etionyun really saw the evil spirit race, he would have to destroy them. He did not know how long it would take to completely destroy them. With his strength alone, it would be very difficult to destroy them all. Therefore, he only needed to destroy some of the evil spirit race that offended him. The Grandmaster Shing in front of him was one of them. When Shi Yuan saw that Etionyun found his location so quickly, he was so scared that he quickly withdrew from the Great Formation. After the Great Formation disappeared, the passage closed. The passages in the various lower realms also quickly closed. Some of the worlds still had his energy, but they were forcibly cut off by him and disappeared without a trace. Etionyun searched so many areas to find the Qi Yuan's main body, not to destroy them all the way. As long as he found the main body, the other small worlds could be saved. Sure enough, Qi Yuan was so scared that he closed the passage and retracted his energy. Thus, he saved the other small worlds, allowing him to obtain hundreds of good deeds in one go. This meant that there were at least a dozen more worlds that Qi Yuan was still devouring. This fellow's appetite was quite big, wanting to devour dozens of lower realm, small worlds. "How dare you ruin my plan? Do you know what this plan represents?" Qi Yuan was furious. From his point of view, Etionyun's cultivation was at most at the level of Grandmaster Shing. The power that Etionyun had displayed was indeed at the level of a Grandmaster Shing. As long as it was at the level of a Grandmaster Shing, it would be easy to get rid of all the black energy substances. In fact, if it was any lower, it could be easily cleared. Qi Yuan's cultivation wasn't high to begin with, so the energy that he extended out naturally wouldn't be that strong. If Etionyun had shown his strength, Scarlet Origin would have run away long ago instead of staying here. He was undoubtedly waiting for Etionyun to find him so that he could destroy Etionyun. Oh, what is the meaning behind this plan? Etionyun looked at him with interest with his hands on his arms. He really wanted to know what Qi Yuan was thinking. There was no point in using a Grandmaster Shing's cultivation to deal with the lower realm. Whether it was the resources or the energy contained, it really couldn't compare to cultivating here for a few more hours. If he was a star apostle, perhaps the lower realms things would be of some help to him. However, he was currently at the level of a Grandmaster Shing, so there was no effect at all. Absorbing it was like eating a mosquito. No matter how small the mosquito was, it was still meat. How much would he have to eat to be full? You don't need to know this. Since you're here, I'll swallow you first. Qi Yuan was furious. You wasted so much of my time. If I don't swallow you, I won't be able to vent my anger. Qi Yuan flew towards Etionyun and opened his hands to grab him. 12 arms quickly emerged from his back, which was indeed the standard of the evil spirit race. Etionyun's expression was indifferent. He reached out and grabbed the void. A powerful force tore through the void and dragged Qi Yuan to him, fixing him in the air. Swallow me? How? Yi Tianyun controlled Qi Yuan with one hand, making him unable to move. Qi Yuan's eyes bulged. He was shocked by Yi Tianyun's strength. He thought that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was at most at the level of a Grandmaster Xing, but it seemed that this was not the case at all. Your cultivation is... Star Lord? Qi Yuan was shocked. As a Star Lord, it could be said that he could cover the sky with one hand. He, who was originally arrogant, immediately became terrified. Tell me, what's the plan? Yi Tianyun looked at him indifferently. So what if you're Star-Lord? I won't tell you. Qi Yuan stiffened his neck and refused to say it. It's okay. If you don't say it, I'll search your soul by force. I'll search as much as I can. Yi Tianyun did not waste any more time. He grabbed his head and began to search his soul. A powerful force surged into his brain and forcibly searched his soul and memories. Qi Yuan shook his body and wanted to struggle. However, no matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. The memories quickly surged into Yi Tianyun's brain and were quickly sucked out. Most of the memories could not be sucked out and were stuck inside. This was something that couldn't be helped. Memories weren't something that could be easily extracted unless one had a special skill or was locked up and tortured to extract the memories bit by bit. Yi Tianyun did not have that much patience. It was enough to extract part of the memories. He did not need so much for the rest. Bang! Yi Tianyun threw Qi Yuan's body, and Qi Yuan's body exploded into a blood mist. Since he could not find any memories, there was no point in keeping it. I don't have many memories, but I still know a lot of information. Yi Tianyun raised his head slightly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The memories he found from Qi Yuan's brain were very simple. Qi Yuan's reason for doing so was to control the worlds in the mortal world and slowly train star disciples to come to the celestial terminus ancestral land through the teleportation array. Yes, the small worlds that Yi Tianyun saved were actually under his territory. In fact, the celestial terminus ancestral land was the only one in this area. The other ancestral lands did not want to do such a thing. The celestial terminus ancestral land was very popular now, and it had long been renamed the Tianyun ancestral land. For this reason, the evil spirit race wanted to plant their own people in the Tianyun ancestral land. If there was any selfish motive, it would be to get close to the Tianyun ancestral land, which was Yi Tianyun's force. It was that simple. However, such a simple move had provoked Yi Tianyun and almost destroyed his force in the mortal world. Chapter 2007. Through a simple search of his memory, Yi Tianyun had a basic grasp of the general situation, but he did not know the exact details. However, he knew the general situation, and that was about it. You want to come up through the lower realms so that you can rely on my power? How naive of you! Yi Tianyun sneered, his eyes filled with killing intent. Even if the evil spirit race really came up through the lower realms, he would not use it either. The memory of being invaded by the evil spirit race was still fresh in his mind. How could he use the evil spirit race? At that time, he would probably be kind and expel the evil spirit race, but he wouldn't exterminate them. It was different now. After knowing the details, he felt even more hatred towards the evil spirit race. Looks like I should make a trip to the evil spirit race now. I originally didn't want to cause trouble for the evil spirit race here, but now they're forcing me to take action. Yi Tianyun coldly snorted. The world was different, and the hatred was naturally different. This was like being chased by cultivators. It was impossible to think that all cultivators were enemies, right? However, his opinion had changed a little now. The evil spirit race was truly disgusting. In order to achieve their goals, they would do anything. From the looks of it, they wanted to occupy all the lower realms and continue to send star disciples to him so that they could take root in the heavenly cloud ancestral land. He immediately searched the area where the evil spirit clan was located. There were corresponding memories in Qi Yuan's memories. As a star venerable, he was able to cross a large area easily. Soon, he reached the ancestral land of the evil spirits. The evil spirit race had a star venerate. Naturally, their ancestral land was called the evil spirit ancestral land. Although they had star lords, Tianyun was a star venerable, so they naturally wanted to get close to him. Star venerables were much stronger than star lords. Unfortunately, they had chosen the wrong person, and it was a big mistake. They originally had a chance to befriend Tianyun, but now they didn't have a chance at all. No matter how they thought about it, they would never have imagined that Tianyun was from the lower realm. In other words, none of the cultivators would have thought that Tianyun had ascended from the lower realm. How could such a trashy place like the lower realm be able to nurture such a powerful expert? Those resources were probably not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. In the evil spirit ancestral land, many evil spirit clans were discussing the heavenly cloud ancestral land. My lord, Scarlet Origin has devoured quite a few lower realm powers. If this continues, all the powers will be replaced by ours. When the time comes, we'll be able to continuously send our subordinates up to the heavenly cloud ancestral land and improve our status. The evil spirit clan's elder said with a sinister smile. It said that the star venerables of the heavenly cloud's ancestral land are very fair. They will reward those who have made great contributions. Now, we will surely have a good relationship with the heavenly cloud's ancestral land. That's right. This heavenly cloud star venerable definitely didn't expect us to use the situation in the lower realms to send our disciples up. By the time he finds out, we'll have made a lot of contributions to the heavenly cloud ancestral land, and he won't be able to say anything. Star venerable, but the evil spirit star monarch will definitely break through to the star venerable realm in the future. They were discussing various major plans. Among them, the evil spirit star lord, who was sitting at the top, did not say a word. He propped up his chin and watched his subordinates discuss. Idiot! Star monarch evil spirit sneered and said, Do you think I arranged for Chi Yuan to seize the lower realm's forces to help star monarch Skycloud? Isn't it? The evil spirit star lord, didn't you give this order to help star monarch Skycloud? They were all dumbfounded. After talking for a long time, it seemed that not only had they missed the point, but they had even flattered the wrong person. How is it possible? Star monarch evil spirit looked at them as if he were looking at a group of fools. Star monarch Skycloud is powerful, yes, but there are many people more powerful than him. It was that lord who gave the order. That lord. Their faces suddenly changed, and they said in a trembling voice, Why did that lord give the order? This is not something you can know. You only need to know one thing, which is to quickly take root in the heavenly cloud's ancestral land and grasp all the information about the heavenly cloud's ancestral land. Also, at all costs, keep improving your status and climbing higher. Star monarch evil spirit said coldly, Do you understand this? Understood, understood. They nodded quickly and did not dare to continue asking, for fear that they would be killed if they asked a few more questions. Understood. Hurry up and think of a way to make friends with the heavenly cloud's ancestral land in all aspects, and use all forces to infiltrate it and see if you can get a higher position. Star monarch evil spirit had a look of exasperation on his face as he signaled them to hurry up and leave. Yes, Lord. They nodded quickly and immediately got up to think of a way. They were much more diligent than usual, afraid that they would be even half a beat slower. When they were about to go out, a ghostly voice came from the side. They don't dare to ask too much, but I want to know. After the voice came, a figure appeared next to them. Star monarch evil spirit's pupil shrank, and he quickly stood up from the chair and said in shock, Star monarch Skycloud. How could Star monarch evil spirit not have seen Tianyun? He had watched the battle between Tianyun and the Jade God ancestral land. Among the offerings to the ancestral land later, he had a share. The reason why Chi Yuan hadn't seen it was because he happened to be busy that day, so he couldn't see the shocking battle. The other elders were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that just after they finished discussing Tianyun would appear at the door. Could it be that Tianyun had heard everything before? Listening to Tianyun's words, they were sure that Tianyun had heard everything from the beginning to the end. Star monarch Skycloud, this is the Lord's order, It has nothing to do with me. Star Monarch, Evil Spirit's heart turned cold. He didn't think that he could deal with the Star Monarch, especially after seeing the battle in the Jade God Ancestral Land. He didn't have the slightest intention to fight. No matter what methods or plots he used, they all seemed so pale and powerless in the face of Yi Tianyun's terrifying power. Therefore, he immediately threw the blame to Yi Tianyun without holding anything back. He wanted to die. "Who is that lord?" Yi Tianyun asked. "The Star Origin Lord next to our burning, desolate territory." Star Monarch Evil Spirit immediately poured out all the information. "Star Origin Lord." Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. Of course, he knew what was going on. The large area they were in had a collective name, which was the Burning Desolate Territory. It was equivalent to a region where many forces gathered together. The Star Origin Territory was on the side, and it was basically similar to the Burning Desolate Territory. There were many ancestral land forces and many family forces. The difference was that the Star Origin Territory had a master, and they were collectively known as the Star Origin Lord. The Star Origin Lord was in charge of all the ancestral lands and forces in the Star Origin Territory. Chapter 2008. Yi Tianyun had thought that the information he had learned from Qi Yuan was basically all the information he had, which meant that he knew all the thoughts of the evil spirit Star Lord. But it seemed that he had been too naive. This was just the tip of the iceberg. The Master of Star Origin was behind him. The Master of Star Origin was an extremely powerful being. He was the master of a realm. The power he controlled was much stronger than that of the Jade God's ancestral land. Even the Jade God's ancestral land couldn't control a realm completely, but the Master of Star Origin had done it. He had truly controlled a realm of Star Origin. It was the Master of Star Origin who had tried every means to invade his faction. This was something Yi Tianyun hadn't expected. He had thought that this matter would be simple, but it seemed that it wasn't simple at all. Why did he arrange for someone to stay here? Yi Tianyun stared at the evil spirit Star Lord and spoke in a deep voice. "Sir, I really don't know. The Master of Star Origin just asked me to arrange it." He didn't say anything else. The evil spirit Star Lord's back was drenched in a cold sweat. He was afraid that Yi Tianyun would slap him. "Oh, you didn't say anything, and you did it?" Yi Tianyun looked at him and spoke calmly. "Not to mention the Master of Star Origin. Even if you asked me to do it, I would do it immediately. It's the Master of Star Origin. I can't go against him." The evil spirit Star Lord smiled bitterly. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to provoke either side. There were Star Venerables on either side. Even though the Master of Star Origin was stronger than Yi Tianyun could deal with him at the moment. So, he could only compromise. "Is that so? Then come over here. Let me search your soul." Yi Tianyun extended his hand and grabbed the evil spirit Star Venerable's power. The dreadful power didn't give the evil spirit Star Lord any chance to resist. He was grabbed by Yi Tianyun. The raging power flowed into the evil spirit Star Lord's head and searched his memories. The elders at the side were all dumbfounded. Once again, they felt Yi Tianyun's terrifying strength. Their master didn't even have the chance to resist and was just waiting to be slaughtered. They could only stand to the side and watch in a daze. How could they dare to make a move? Even if they did, they would not be able to save the evil spirit Star Lord. Their cultivation was only at the level of Grandmaster Shing, which was much lower than that of a Star Lord. How could they save him? Under the crazy soul search, the memories of the evil spirit Star Monarch kept surging in, allowing Yi Tianyun to understand the whole situation. Star Monarch Evil Spirit wasn't lying. The Master of Star Origin had told him to do this, but he didn't say a word about why. Yi Tianyun threw the evil spirit Star Monarch to the side and did not continue to search his memories. The rest were basically some disgusting memories, which he was not interested in. Star Lord Evil Spirit sat paralyzed on the ground, but he quickly got up and said with a fawning expression, "My lord, how is it? Is your memory correct?" The Master of Star Origin really didn't say anything and just told me to do this. If you want to know why, you can only ask the Master of Star Origin. This was the benefit of strength. Star-Lord Evil Spirit had been slapped, but he still had to show a fawning smile. In fact, he was extremely disgusted, and he was even more furious at Onion. However, he had no choice. Who asked him to be so much weaker? Don't worry, I will ask properly. Onion looked at him with a sharp gaze and sneered. But before that, I will first settle some accounts with your evil spirit ancestral land. For example, eradicating your evil spirit ancestral land. My lord, what are you trying to do? I've said everything and did not hide anything. Although I am in the wrong, it is not to the extent of eradicating our evil spirit ancestral land, right? Star-Lord Evil Spirit was angry. He had confessed everything, and even his soul memory had been searched. He basically had no privacy, and he was even destroyed. This was too overbearing. Under normal circumstances, you really don't deserve to die, but you almost destroyed my hometown. Onion looked at him calmly. Destroyed your hometown? Star-Lord Evil Spirit frowned. This is impossible. How could we destroy your hometown? Your hometown is in the heavenly cloud ancestral land. You must have misunderstood something. It seems you still don't understand. Let me give you a hint. The lower realm, Red Origin, Onion said calmly. If Star-Lord Evil Spirit still didn't understand, he would be a fool. He opened his eyes wide and said, Your hometown is the lower realm. The lower realm. Boom! A star of Venerable's power soared into the sky and erupted in the surroundings. A giant 5-colored Emperor Dragon's shadow stomped down crazily, destroying the surroundings with the Divine Palace as the center. Star-Lord Evil Spirit and the others were turned into ashes. They didn't even have a chance to speak before they were killed by Onion. At least before they died, they didn't know why they had provoked Onion. It turned out that it was a very stupid plan they had set up, but they didn't have a chance to regret because they had already been killed by Onion and sent to hell. Boom, boom, boom. Then the evil spirit ancestral land was destroyed. The surrounding forces didn't know why Onion would destroy an ancestral land. For a time, many forces were puzzled. How could an ancestral land be destroyed without any reason? They had all been working for Onion. Destroying an ancestral land would mean losing a powerful force. It was fine if you destroyed a family, but it didn't even have a Star Lord, so it was not worth much. But now, what Onion destroyed was an ancestral land, so the significance was different. But no one dared to ask about it. They just felt that Onion was extremely overbearing, and he would destroy the enemy's ancestral land if they didn't agree with him. This made them even more careful, worried that Onion would come to their faction one day. After destroying the evil spirit ancestral land, Onion stood in the ruins and looked up to the front. He said indifferently, Star Origin Master, I don't know what you are thinking, but with such an arrangement, it probably won't be any better. I hope you don't provoke me. Otherwise, even the Star Origin domain will be flattened. The Star Origin domain was very strong, and so was the Star Origin Master. However, Xiao Qin wasn't worried. No matter who came to invade him, he would kill them all the same. After the evil spirit ancestral land was destroyed, the news quickly reached the Star Origin Master's ears. The Star Origin Master just sat on a chair and looked at the sky outside. After listening to the message from his subordinate behind him, he smiled and said, That evil spirit ancestral land is really bad. They did a poor job of keeping a secret. I believe they know that I arranged it. Lord Star Origin, why don't we send a few experts to capture him? The subordinate standing at the side said respectfully. Chapter 2009. After dealing with the evil spirits ancestral land, Onion returned to the heavenly cloud ancestral land. When he returned, someone immediately came to ask him why he had destroyed the evil spirits ancestral land. Those who came to ask him were the leaders of other ancestral lands, or the leaders of some families. They all wanted to know why Onion had done that. Onion's answer was very rude. He just said, I don't like it, and went back to his own business. His words scared them. They would be destroyed because they didn't like it? Would it be their turn to dislike them one day? Originally, They wanted to inquire about the reason behind Tianyin's actions, but they didn't expect to hear such a shocking news. Tianyin didn't bother to explain too much to them. He just said a simple sentence, what they thought was their own business. After returning to the heavenly cloud ancestral land, Tianyin started to strengthen and reorganize. For example, the cultivation of Shi Shuyun and the others needed to be improved urgently. If they wanted more power, they needed more power. Therefore, he wanted to give them a comprehensive upgrade so that they could improve their cultivation. This method was very crude and simple. He just needed to pour star energy into them and improve their cultivation directly. This method had been used before, and it could improve their cultivation greatly in a short time. In fact, even if he didn't have this ability, it wouldn't be a problem for him to improve a star disciple by 1 or 2 levels with his power as a star venerable. Once they reached the star venerable level, they could control more power. It wouldn't be a problem for them to speed up their breakthrough. On his way back, he learned about the situation of awakening the star Dharma idol. Shi Shuyun and Ec Shue had awakened star Dharma idols of the 5th level. Yi Qing Xian and the others had awakened star Dharma idols of the 4th level. Most of the people who had awakened star Dharma idols were at the 3rd or 4th level, which was a good level. As for the 6th level, there wasn't a single one of them. The difficulty of reaching the 6th level was simply too high. Not everyone could achieve it. Then he helped them improve their cultivation. It wasn't much, but he helped them reach the late stage of the star disciple level. Breaking through to the star master level would depend on their own efforts. If he helped them improve directly, it would be too much help. It could easily cause their cultivation to get stuck in the later stage. The best way was to skip 1 or 2 levels and just break through the last stage. After improving their cultivation, Tianyin went to do his own things. The others had a lot to do, and so did Tianyin. One of them was to refine the 9-star grass into elixirs. He had thought about this before, but he never had the time. That was why he had the time to find someone to refine pills for him now. What he needed to find now was the Phoenix Fire Palace. Previously, Fairy Fan, you said that there were 2 best pill refiners. One was the Jade God Ancestral Land, and the other was the Phoenix Fire Palace. Among them, the Phoenix Flame Palace's alchemy ability was slightly superior, so he planned to make a trip to the Phoenix Flame Palace. Of course, even if Jade God's Ancestral Land had the best alchemy standards, now that he had trampled over Jade God's Ancestral Land, the so-called Star Alchemists would naturally be wiped out. They wouldn't be able to practice alchemy even if they wanted to. Initially, Ning Cheng wanted to refine pills by himself. However, when he saw that he needed a lot of star energy to advance to a grade 3 celestial alchemist, he temporarily gave up on this idea. Compared to this, he might as well find a better celestial alchemist and pay a small price to help him concoct pills. It would be more cost-effective. He had obtained quite a few treasures now, so it wouldn't be a problem for him to exchange them. Apart from refining pills, he had another reason for heading to the Phoenix Flame Palace, and that was to search for Jade Soul Stones. He had the energy nascent soul to refine his avatar, so the Jade Soul Stone was especially important. As an alchemy divine palace, the Phoenix Flame Palace might have Jade Soul Stones. Of course, even if he didn't, he might be able to inquire about some information from the Phoenix Flame Palace. Phoenix Flame Palace was located in the center of the Star Origin region and the Burning Desolate region. This region was especially chaotic. No one managed the Burning Desolate region, but it wasn't too chaotic. As for the region where the Phoenix Flame Palace was located, it was even more chaotic. This region was generally known as the Chaos region, and it was an unmanaged region. Killing and plundering often happened in this region, but the Phoenix Flame Palace was established in this region. It was truly strange. In fact, the Phoenix Flame Palace didn't want to be managed by any force. This was the same reason why the Jade God Ancestral Land couldn't be managed, let alone the Jade God Ancestral Land. Even the Master of Star Origin couldn't manage it. As long as they stayed here, they wouldn't be managed. Even if the other regions changed hands, it wouldn't have anything to do with them. However, if someone really came over to manage it by force, it wouldn't be a problem. It was just that it would be more difficult. After all, if one had a strong cultivation, there was nothing they couldn't manage. However, this would make things extremely difficult. The people in this region were all idlers, and they hated losing their freedom. They would rather die than pledge allegiance to him. Therefore, provoking them would be a very troublesome matter. In other words, it was impossible to recruit them, so no one paid any attention to them. They were left to fend for themselves. They could do whatever they wanted. Soon, Etianyun arrived at the chaotic area. It was obvious that there was a separate area in the chaotic area. This region looked very normal, but on the other side, it was a rocky region. It was surrounded by all sorts of messy mineral veins and dilapidated houses. Factions often rose up here, but they were quickly destroyed. Therefore, there were all sorts of dilapidated palaces and the like, which made one's hair stand on end. Etianyun had just entered, and he was immediately targeted. Several Star Masters were pacing around. From the moment Etianyun appeared, they had been staring at him. They wanted to see something from him. "Kid, you look a little unfamiliar. Do you want us to show you around here?" One of the youths stood up and walked over to Etianyun. He said with a smile, "I don't ask for much. I just need to pay a small price to ensure that you can stroll around here safely." Etianyun glanced at them, took out a crystal stone, and flicked it forward. He said indifferently, "Take me to the Phoenix Flame Palace. There will be a reward if you bring me to the destination." The youth took the crystal stone and immediately felt it was heavy. After taking a closer look, he said in shock, "This is a chaos crystal stone, and the quality is not bad." The few of them immediately revealed greedy looks. They thought that Etianyun would only give them some ordinary treasures. They didn't expect it to be such a good thing. This made them a little greedy, but they didn't take action. Chapter 2010. Yes, I'm going to the Phoenix Flame Palace to ask them to help me refine pills. Is there a problem? Etianyun answered directly, without hiding anything. However, going to the Phoenix Flame Palace was either to refine pills or to join the Phoenix Flame Palace. These are the only two choices. No problem. So you're going to refine pills, then follow us. Yin Hong laughed sinisterly and indicated for Etianyun to follow him. Apart from him, there were a few other companions. They surrounded Etianyun and led him inside. After circling a few rounds, there were originally some cultivators in the surroundings. But under their lead, they walked further and further into a remote area. At the end, there was no one around. "You aren't bringing me to the Phoenix Flame Palace, right?" Etianyun naturally saw that there was a problem. If he couldn't see it, then he would really be a fool. Of course we can't bring you to the Phoenix Flame Palace, idiot." Yin Hong laughed loudly and looked at him like he was looking at an idiot. He laughed sinisterly and said, "We will give you a way out. Hand over all the treasures, and we will spare your life." That's right. Hand over all the treasures, and we will spare your life. Don't force us to use force. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. The companions beside him echoed and tried to scare Etianyun so that he would compromise. Etianyun reached out and grabbed Yin Hong in his hand. A powerful pressure was released in all directions, causing the companions beside him to kneel down and find it hard to move. Their cultivation was not high. They were only star adept cultivation. Under such a powerful force, it was naturally impossible for them to resist. Such powerful strength. They stared and knew that they had kicked an iron plate. How was this a fledgling? This was a super powerhouse. They couldn't sense how strong his cultivation was, but it was at least at the star adept level. Previously, they judged from his aura and appearance that Etianyun was at most a star adept. They didn't expect his cultivation to be far beyond their imagination. "Do you think I'm a fool? When you brought me away, I knew you weren't bringing me to the Phoenix Flame Palace." Etianyun had already seen through it, but he didn't point it out. In any case, the result was the same. Then, he threw Yin Hong to the side. Yin Hong fell heavily to the ground and rolled a few times, causing his head to bleed. Yin Hong quickly crawled up from the ground and kowtowed to Etianyun. My lord, please forgive us. We were just being greedy. Now, we'll bring my lord to the Phoenix Flame Palace right now." "Go!" Yun couldn't be bothered to argue with them. The more chaotic an area was, the more cultivators there would be. Therefore, if he came alone, he would really be at the mercy of others. Then, Yin Hong nodded and bowed as he led Yun forward. His face was filled with all sorts of fawning expressions, completely different from before. Under Yin Hong's lead, they finally arrived at a crowded area. There was a city in this area, but they were just passing by. While passing by, Yun saw many cultivators, and it looked quite chaotic. From time to time, he would see people suddenly fighting on the side. Then, they would kill the other party and snatch away the treasures on them. The surrounding cultivators just watched and didn't move at all. It was impossible for them to step forward to help. The reason why it was called the chaotic region was that it was absolutely chaotic. Those who had treasures on them would probably be snatched away in the next second. Those who spent a lot of money to buy something might be immediately snatched away by the shop owner. It was a rather cruel thing. Killing and robbing was very common here. It could be said that it was extremely chaotic. But in such a chaotic region, there were still many people willing to stay here. After all, they were originally ruthless people. In other factions, there were cultivators that weren't well-liked. They could only come here and stay. Moreover, they banded together and carried out all sorts of robberies. Of course, the chaotic region also had a lot of resources. The richness of the resources was not much different from other regions. More importantly, it was more dangerous. Where can I find out about treasures? Yun suddenly asked. What kind of treasures would you like to know, sir? Yin Hong asked. Jade Soul Stone. Yun asked directly. Jade Soul Stone. They looked confused. They didn't know what it was and instantly felt a little awkward. Originally, Yin Hong wanted to show off. Who knew that Yun would say that he didn't know about it all? Cough, cough. If it's about information, there is still a place to find out. However, you have to pay a high price to get the information. Yin Hong answered carefully. Lead the way. Yun saw that there were many people of all kinds here. Naturally, he would know more about the circulation of information. All right. Yin Hong immediately led Yun forward. Yin Hong, where did you kidnap this kid from? Are you planning to let him join you? Someone at the side mocked. Bullsh asterisk T. We won't do that. Yin Hong immediately retorted. All right, stop pretending. He looks soft and tender. Is he suitable to work with you? I can't be bothered to talk to you. He's not joining us. He's our honored guest. Yin Hong's back was drenched in cold sweat. Afraid that Yun would be unhappy, he hurriedly led him forward. Oh, honored guest. Which so-called honored guest hasn't been robbed clean by you guys and then killed? Last time, you even took that woman, TSK. They teased him in a few words. Yin Hong was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. When he turned to look at Yun, he saw that Yun was expressionless. Yin Hong heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Yun didn't get angry, it was fine. Thinking about it carefully, it had nothing to do with Yun. Why would he say anything? Sir, it's in front. Yin Hong lowered his head and bowed. Before Yun entered, he said calmly, All right, your mission is over. Then, can we go? Yin Hong asked carefully. Yes, you can go down. We can go down? They were stunned. Before they could react, they turned into a cloud of blood mist and exploded in the air. The surrounding cultivators were dumbfounded. They didn't know what happened. Yin Hong and the others died, just like that. However, no one stood up for them. If they died, then so be it. They would only discuss how it happened. Yun's expression was calm. He lifted his feet and walked inside. Actually, he didn't kill them because he heard that they did something bad. Whatever they did in the past had nothing to do with him. Chapter 2011. Yun was not interested in the things that Yin Hong and the others had done when they were alive. However, when Yin Hong and the others were robbing him, they revealed a strong killing intent. Hence, Yun could not be blamed. Yun looked around. Other than looking surprised, the surrounding cultivators did not stand up for Yin Hong and the others. In particular, the one who had been chatting with Yin Hong did not stand up for them. He just stood there and looked at them as if he was watching a show. So what Yin Hong said was true. This is really a distinguished guest. However, to Yin Hong, this is more like a life taker. They trembled. Their cultivation levels were similar to Yin Hong's. Yin Hong and his companions had died just like that. It was impossible for them to stand up for them. Apart from a few words of discussion, they did not do anything else. Some cultivators just glanced over and did not bother to look anymore. It seemed that this kind of thing was quite normal. Tianyun also ignored their gazes. He lifted his feet and walked inside. In front of him was a pavilion. In fact, it was similar to some treasure buildings. They sold all kinds of elixirs and weapons. He had seen this kind of treasure buildings many times in the past. Almost everywhere had such treasure buildings. However, he had not been interested in visiting them before. This kind of treasure building was similar to the roadside shops. Basically, there were many of them in big cities. It was best to inquire about information in this kind of treasure building. Their ability to collect information was quite good. Soon, he arrived at the treasure building. It was no different from an ordinary treasure building. The biggest difference was that as soon as he entered, many eyes were fixed on him. It was as if he was being watched. "Sir, what would you like to order?" A beautiful woman greeted him with a smile. As she walked over, she looked at Tianyun from head to toe. She wanted to find some information from him. "I want to buy information," Tianyun answered directly. "Buy information? Then this way, please." The beautiful attendant was still smiling. She brought him to the inner area and left with a smile on her face. In front of them was an old man with an unfathomable aura. He sat there with his eyes closed, as if he didn't feel anything when Tianyun came over. When Tianyun arrived in front of the old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked at him. "Tell me, what information do you want to know?" Tianyun had seen too many of these kinds of people who pretended to be mysterious. They didn't have any skills, but they did have a knack for acting mysterious. This old man's cultivation was not bad. He was a late-stage star master, which was considered relatively high among the people here. Actually, in this chaotic region, there were relatively few who had reached the level of Great Master Xing. There were practically none who had reached the level of Star Venerate. After all, if one had such a strong cultivation, most of them would not be willing to stay in this place. With such a strong cultivation base, he could establish a clan outside or join the ancestral land. Jade Soul Stone. I want to know about the Jade Soul Stone. Tianyun asked directly. Jade Soul Stone. The old man was taken aback. After pondering for a moment, he stood up and said, "This thing is quite rare. I have to investigate it carefully. However, this information is very rare. I'm afraid the price is rather high. Can you afford it?" "Oh, how high?" Tianyun narrowed his eyes as he looked at the old man. The old man stretched out 3 fingers and said with a smile, "I need at least 3-star domain grade treasures. Do you have them?" 3-star domain grade treasures and above? Tianyun waved his hand, and 3-star domain grade treasures appeared in front of him. This made the old man's eyes light up. He had not expected Tianyun to really be able to take them out. Star domain grade treasures were rather rare. In a regular clan, they would be the treasure of the clan. In a Star Venerate's case, they would be the standard weapon of a Star Venerate and would be considered precious. Of course, to Tianyun, they were nothing special. He had killed many Star Venerates and obtained many Star domain grade weapons. However, Xiaochun was not interested at all. To him, the grade of the weapons was too low. They were not even as effective as his fists. Sometimes it was better to use fists than weapons. If he used a weapon, he would not be able to bring out his full strength. "I wonder if this is enough?" Tianyun asked calmly. "Wait a moment. I have to go back and confirm it." The old man quickly nodded. His eyes were filled with greed. After glaring fiercely at the 3 treasures, he turned around and entered the room. A moment later, the old man came out. "I've found the detailed information. It's just that the price is 4-star domain level treasures, not 3. "Sure," Tianyun answered straightforwardly. The greed in the old man's eyes intensified. He had not expected Tianyun to answer so straightforwardly. "The Jade Soul Stone is in this direction. However, it is rather dangerous. If we are not careful, we might die inside." The old man took out a recording disc. There was a large map inside, and he marked out a location. This location was indeed a dangerous place. Furthermore, it was a rather dangerous one. Etienne glanced at the recording disc. He narrowed his eyes and fell in a deep thought. We agreed on 4 treasures. Where's the last one? The old man asked doubtfully. Just as Etienne was about to say something, a loud noise came from behind him. With a bang, the locked door was kicked open. Then, a huge figure rushed in and roared, "You liars! The information you gave us is all lies. Brother, don't be fooled by them. They deliberately gave us false information and specially gave us a very dangerous area. They want us to die inside so that they can get paid." Etienne looked at the strong man in front of him and was stunned. The huge figure in front of him was not a man, but a woman. It was just that the huge figure looked quite burly. Just looking at the back of the figure, one would really mistake it for a strong man. After hearing this, Etienne's expression was indifferent. In fact, he could tell that this guy was indeed a liar. His spiritual awareness easily penetrated the door in front of him. The old man did not go in to collect information. He simply asked his companions if they wanted to increase the price to continue deceiving him or to test him. From then on, he knew it was fake. He did not expect that there would be a victim immediately. Moreover, the victim looked very fierce, and her cultivation was not low. She had the cultivation of Master Xing in the early stage. No wonder she could come back from danger. "Brother, these are all your things. Hurry up and put them away." The woman snatched the treasures from the old man's hand and immediately stuffed them back to Etienne. Then, she glared at the old man and shouted, "Return all my things. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The woman was furious. She could not wait to tear the old man apart. Chapter 2012. Etienne thought he could get some information from them, but it seemed like he was overthinking it. Star Venerable Jade Divinity had searched for so many years and failed to find the Jade Soul Stone. How could there be information about it in this chaotic zone? That was obviously impossible. Etienne was indeed overthinking it. However, he just happened to pass by and came over to ask. If there was no information, then there was no information. Who knew these guys were liars? Those who didn't know what was going on fell into their trap. They purposely led them to the dangerous zone. The more dangerous a place was, the more normal it was to have such a treasure. Correspondingly, this was more sinister. Making use of this point, not only did they obediently hand over the treasures, they even went to the dangerous area. If they died, they wouldn't have to worry about being held accountable. This was indeed a chaotic zone. There were many liars in this place. However, they would occasionally give them real information. It was probably only true information to the cultivators who lived here for a long time. For those who were obviously outsiders, it was quite ruthless to deceive them. Nonsense. How could our information be false? You should apologize for what you said, the old man said angrily. The old man's neck stiffened, and he said angrily, "The location we gave you is correct. If you can't find what you want, then it's your own problem. It's possible that someone else has already taken it away. How can we guarantee that? If someone gets the information from us, they will definitely get the treasure. Why don't we go there ourselves? There must be a certain risk, and it might be taken away by someone else. These are all uncertain factors. Before you came, someone asked about the fantasy wood grass you wanted, but it was taken away before you came. Is there a problem? We can guarantee that this information is reliable. It was found about a month ago at most. This information is very new," the old man retorted. The old man's rebuttal was full of excuses. It was obvious that he had already made up an excuse, or that he had such information in the past to fool the other party. What he said was reasonable, and there was some truth to it. The woman was really intimidated. She believed that the old man was right, and that everything he said was reasonable and methodical. The old man thought that he had fooled his opponent. So he said sternly, "We worked so hard to find this information, but you think it's fake information. This is disrespect to us. Now you're here to cause trouble. If this gets out, our reputation will be greatly affected. If you don't compensate us today, don't blame us for being impolite." After he finished speaking, a few figures walked over from all directions. Among them, there were quite a few star masters. Their cultivations were all above the middle level. It seemed like there were quite a lot of experts in this treasure house. If there weren't any experts, it would be impossible to establish a foothold here. The woman was stunned and didn't know how to refute. She didn't seem to have a high IQ, so she couldn't explain too much. The woman did not know what to say. After thinking about it carefully, it seemed that she was right. Speechless, right? In any case, you have to give me some compensation. I don't need too much, at least 2-star sector-level treasures. The old man took advantage of this moment and ruthlessly scammed them. The woman fell silent for a moment. She really did want to take out 2 treasures from her star ring as compensation. At this moment, Tianyin raised his hand and said calmly, "Wait." As soon as he said that, everyone's gazes fell on Tianyin. They all looked at him in puzzlement, not knowing what he wanted to say. "You're looking for the illusionary wood grass, right?" Tianyin asked the woman. Yes, that's right," the woman replied blankly. "The illusionary wood grass mainly grows in areas that are filled with wood attribute energy and have an abundant water source. Does the place you went meet 2 conditions?" Tianyin added, "No, it's just a pile of rocks. There are also many giant beasts hiding among the rocks. While I'm not paying attention, they will rush out and attack me." After saying that, the woman suddenly shouted, "Are you saying that the illusionary wood grass can only grow under these conditions?" The woman was enlightened. She immediately understood the crux of what Tianyin had said. "That's right. It can only grow when these conditions are met. If it isn't, it can't grow at all, unless someone left it there." Tianyin shrugged his shoulders, looked at the old man, and said indifferently, "If you want to deceive people, you should first understand the environment in which it grows. You don't even understand the environment in which it grows, yet you still come out to deceive people. What a joke." Even if Tianyin didn't know that they were swindlers, he could immediately see through the woman's words. The illusionary wood grass grew in special environments. Moreover, he had said that it was rare. It was impossible to grow it without meeting certain conditions. If it could be casually satisfied, then it would have already roamed the streets. How could it grow in such a dangerous environment? Nonsense. The old man's face turned red as he roared at Tianyin. "Boy, what do you know? I have seen more divine medicines than you have ever eaten." "Is that so? Then this young lady, please find a celestial alchemy master and ask him about it. Let's see where the illusory wood grass truly grows. If I am wrong, then I will give you these 3 treasures." Tianyin had an indifferent look on his face, making it hard for people to read his mind. "Well, there are still star alchemists here. I will go and invite them over." The woman nodded and was just about to get up when she suddenly felt a sharp, killing intent enveloping her. "Since you came in, don't even think about leaving." The old man's eyes were filled with killing intent. "Are you two here to cause trouble? I didn't want to do anything to you, but it seems that you have forced yourself into a dead end. A woman who looks like a man, and a hothead who knows a little. Today, both of you will die here. Next year, today will be the anniversary of your death. Go and capture them for me. If you can't capture them, then kill them." The old man gave a cold snort. Since they had already reached this point, they naturally would not show any mercy. The woman quickly took out 2 blades, and a sharp light burst out in the room. At the same time, she protected Tianyin by her side and said coldly, "Little brother, it seems that we can only force our way out. This is something I caused. Let me help you escape. Just a few of you won't be able to stop me." The woman roared, and a great 5-star Dharma idol appeared behind her. It turned out to be a goddess of martial arts. However, this goddess of martial arts was very slender and beautiful. There was a huge gap between her and the woman. In the next second, the woman rapidly shrank and became the size of an ordinary woman. Her appearance became extremely beautiful. It was a perfect slimming down. Her appearance did not change, but she became thinner and her strength became more solid. Chapter 2013. The woman instantly became slender and petite, but in terms of the cohesion of power, it increased by a large margin. Others had become taller, but she had become smaller and prettier. Etienne's eyes widened. Although he didn't care much about her appearance, after all, it had nothing to do with him. However, after becoming smaller and thinner, she looked like a beautiful woman without any fighting power. Of course, the shadow of the goddess of martial arts behind her had already proved to everyone that she was not weak, but stronger. The level 5-star Dharma was quite powerful, especially the goddess of martial arts star Dharma, which meant that her fighting power was absolutely amazing. Anyone who looked down on her would be a real fool. From this, it could be seen that she had relied on her own power to escape from danger. Huh! The woman shouted, and the two blades in her hands swept to the side. The domineering blade aura swept out in all directions. The domineering aura of the Valkyrie was mixed in with it, causing great pressure on the surrounding Grandmaster Xing. Oh no. The old man's expression changed. He didn't expect that the woman would become so powerful and have a level 5-star Dharma. The number of level 5-star Dharma was not as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns, but was almost as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. In such a big ancestor's land, it was estimated that there were less than a handful of them. This woman had a level 5-star Dharma, so her identity was not simple. In this way, it was tantamount to provoking an extremely powerful force, which was obviously not something that the Bao Lu wanted to see. But now that it had happened, they could only brace themselves and fight. Go suppress her. The old man's cultivation was not high, but his words carried a lot of weight. He ordered his companions to attack. Roar! The Master Xing next to him roared, and the level 3 and level 4-star Dharma behind them burst out, quickly resisting the woman's explosive power. The woman took the opportunity to shout at Etienne, "Let's escape first." The woman was more concerned about Etienne. Everything had happened because of her, so she would naturally choose to escape with him. They rushed out of the tower. Even though she had such a powerful Valkyrie star avatar, it was still difficult for her to deal with so many people by herself. After all, her cultivation was only at the early stage of Grandmaster Xing. The people here were all at the middle stage of Grandmaster Xing, so it would be more strenuous to deal with them. Etienne quickly followed. It seemed that this woman was kind-hearted, and she knew how to repay kindness. If Etienne helped her see through the scammer, she would naturally bring Etienne along. But just as he rushed out, a figure blocked his path. That person reached out and slapped him, saying coldly, "Scram back." The powerful force turned into a thick wall and pressed down on them. The woman brandished her 2 sabers, trying to tear the thick city wall into countless pieces. However, when Xiao Chun swung his saber countless times, he could not do anything to her. Instead, he knocked her back. The strong rebound caused some internal injuries. Blood leaked out of a corner of her lips, and her complexion paled. Grandmaster Xing's late-stage cultivation. The woman's voice was hoarse. She did not expect that there would be such a powerful opponent. "Tower Master!" The Grandmaster Xing behind her shouted respectfully. The middle-aged man slowly walked over with his hands behind his back. His handsome face was full of dissatisfaction. "Look at you, she almost escaped. Isn't it just a level 5-star avatar? If you deal with it well, it won't be a problem. There are so many of you, and your cultivation is stronger than hers. If you can't even stop her, it's a waste to raise you. This is our dereliction of duty." They lowered their heads in shame, not daring to look directly at the middle-aged man. There's no need to say more. The key is you. You can't even do a good job in deceiving people. If it wasn't for the fact that you have made a lot of contributions, I really want to kill you, Ding Shuwen said sternly. "Thank you, Tower Master, for not killing me. From now on, I will definitely pay more attention to this information. I will definitely not make a mistake." The old man knelt down, his legs trembling. He was afraid that he would really be killed by Ding Shuwen. Ding Shuwen looked at the woman and Etienne and said with an indifferent expression, "Valkyrie Starlight Avatar, in this body, you must be from the Martial God Palace." "That's right, I am from the Martial God Palace. Not only did you deceive me, but you also dare to kill me. If the martial god palace finds out, they will definitely slaughter you." The woman snorted coldly, still as domineering as ever. At the same time, she was constantly vigilant of her surroundings, ready to attack at any time. Martial god palace? Etienne's eyes flashed. He had already guessed this before. It seemed that this woman was really from the martial god palace. The martial god palace was actually an ancestral land force. It was under the jurisdiction of the Star Origin Domain. It was also a force under the Star Origin Master. Oh, as expected of the martial god palace. How domineering. Ding Shuan smiled. "If I leave you here, who will know that you have been here? In other words, who would know that you died in our hands? You might even die in a dangerous place." Killing intent filled the depths of Ding Shuan's eyes. How dare she threaten me like this? Isn't she courting death? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. The woman was furious, and a Valkyrie phantom appeared behind her, ready to fight at any time. But before the fight started, she turned her head to look at Etienne and said with a wry smile, "I'm sorry for dragging you into this. If we can't escape, we will both die here." She was not a fool. The other party definitely want to keep them here. It was impossible for them to let Etienne go alone. Etienne smiled faintly. He took a step forward and said, "It looks like I can only make a move. I originally wanted to flatten them personally. To think that they dared to deceive me and still dare to keep me here. They're too bold. Do they think that they are invincible after staying here for so long? Oh, by the way, there's still the recording disc I left behind. I will let you take a look." Etienne stretched out his hand, and the recording disc immediately appeared. It was the recording of the old man discussing how to deceive him. When they saw it, their expressions immediately changed. Unexpectedly, Etienne could detect this situation. If news of this spread, could they still remain here? "How bold! How dare you spy on me?" That old man was enraged, his complexion alternating between red and white. "There is no need to worry. This will not harm you. After all, your treasure pavilion will cease to exist later. What is the point of having a reputation?" Etienne smiled, and the aura of a star venerate spread out. The surrounding grandmasters immediately knelt on the ground, including Ding Shuan. Ding Shuan knelt before Etienne without even a chance to struggle. Star venerate? Chapter 2014. The woman was dumbfounded when she felt the terrifying power of a celestial lord. She never expected that the seemingly weak youth was actually a celestial lord. After all this time, he turned out to be a master who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. She was a little desperate and prepared to fight to the death. Whether she could escape or not was another matter. However, there was no need to do so now. With Etienne here, who would dare to resist? Just this terrifying pressure was enough to make the Star Masters unable to move. If Etienne had not chosen to let her go, she would probably have knelt down. How can you be a Star Lord? Ding Shuan's face was pale. They dared to be so unscrupulous because they were not worried that their opponent was a Star Lord. Moreover, a Star Lord would not come here. Even if he did, he could easily recognize him. There were so many Star Lords, how could he not recognize him? Under normal circumstances, Ding Shuan knew about Star Lords. But Etienne just woke up recently. He hasn't received the complete information yet. At most, he heard a little about the situation over there, but he didn't collect a very detailed information. This is because their information is not complete. Why am I not a Star Lord? Etienne said indifferently. It's time for this place of yours to end. I don't care if you deceive others, but you dare to deceive me. Now, you even want to kill me. I think it's time to exterminate you. No. This is all a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Ding Shuan's voice trembled. He did not want to die. Misunderstanding? You want to kill me, and you say it's a misunderstanding? Do you want to capture me and treat me to a meal? Etienne sneered and said, Don't treat me like an idiot. I gave you the chance long ago. It's just that you were too arrogant. This is all his doing. It has nothing to do with me. Sir, if you want to kill them, please don't kill me. I will follow you forever and help you do anything." Ding Shuwen knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. He looked at the old man with resentment. He did not expect that he would bring disaster to his own people. After so many years, he had finally kicked an iron plate. "It's about time to send you on your way." Tianyin took a step forward, and a terrifying strength shot up into the sky, causing the entire treasure tower to explode into a pile of debris. The cultivators outside were all dumbfounded. No one knew what had happened. The treasured building that was originally fine disappeared, just like that. It was directly razed to the ground. This kind of terrifying power scared them so much that they quickly fled to the side. Some even hated themselves for not having more legs and running too slowly. After the entire tower was razed to the ground, only Tianyun and the woman were left. The rest were all turned into ashes. They wouldn't spout nonsense, and they would just destroy it if they said so. They thought that Tianyun was boasting and that he wouldn't even know when he would die. Ding killed Ding Shuwen, obtained 5 kill points. "Oh, killing him will give me quite a few kill points. Looks like this Ding Shuwen has done quite a few bad things." Tianyun was very satisfied with the information he received. How could he not feel good about getting kill points? You are a Star Lord? The woman really did not believe that Tianyun was Star Lord. A Star Lord was a high and mighty existence in her world, but now he seemed so approachable. She did not feel the domineering aura of a Star Lord at all. Usually, a Star Lord was high and mighty, rejecting people thousands of miles away and difficult to touch. However, the feeling that Tianyun gave her was very intimate. Of course, it was only after the eruption that she truly felt how terrifying a Star Lord was. He destroyed them just like that, and his methods were extremely ruthless. "Why? Do you think I'm a fake Star Lord?" Tianyun had already retracted his aura, and he looked no different from before. The others thought that he was just an ordinary star apostle. This was the effect that Tianyun wanted, retracting his aura completely so that he could clearly see the attitude of the people around him. He did not like a group of people being so respectful in front of him, as he did not know what they were thinking. If one's cultivation level was lower, they would be able to see more things. That's not it. It's just that you're a Star Lord, and you're here. The woman retracted her aura, but her appearance did not change. She was still beautiful, not as huge as before. "I'm just here to do something." Tianyun looked at her and asked in confusion, "Speaking of which, why didn't you change back?" "Huh, I've always been like this. Why should I change back?" After her figure became petite, her voice wasn't as rough as before. She looked delicate and pretty, which was quite alluring. "Huh, this is your original appearance, then your previous appearance," Tianyun said in surprise. "I changed on purpose before. When I was outside, my senior sisters told me to become bigger and fiercer so that the other party would not lie to me. Who knew that I was still cheated? It's meaningless." The woman looked depressed. She thought that she would not be cheated when she came out, but she was still cheated in the end. This is still somewhat meaningful. Tianyun was speechless. He really thought that the huge body from before was her real body. It turned out that this was her real body. "By the way, which force are you from? With such powerful strength, you must be a lord from some ancestral land, right?" The woman looked at him curiously. Usually, she did not dare to speak to the Star Lord like this. However, she saw that Tianyun seemed to be easy to talk to. "Which force?" "You'll know in the future." Tianyun smiled, turned around, and walked forward. "I should go. Take care. I'm afraid there's no illusory wood grass here. You'd better look elsewhere." The woman looked at his departing figure, but did not chase after him. She could only watch from behind. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and shouted, "Star Lord, my name is dialing you. Please remember me. I will never forget your great kindness." Tianyun shook his head with a smile and disappeared from everyone's sight. After leaving this place, Tianyun found a place to inquire about the location of the Phoenix Flame Palace and went there alone. After rushing for a while, he quickly arrived at the Phoenix Flame Palace. As soon as he arrived, he felt a wave of heat surging in this direction. Ordinary star disciples could not withstand this heat. Even so, there were still rows of cultivators queuing here. No one knew what they were waiting for. There was no lack of Star Masters among them, but there were no Star Lords. There were more Star Masters and Star Masters here. This group of cultivators was divided into two groups. One group lined up in the left passage area, and the other group lined up in the right passage area. Etionyan took a closer look and found that there were two groups, seeking elixirs and joining the Phoenix Flame Palace. Chapter 2015. Looking at the two long lines, Etionyan felt that the Phoenix Flame Palace's reputation was amazing. So many cultivators came to join, and there were even more cultivators who came to request for pills. He could tell with a glance that most of them were from outside factions. Those who requested pills were from outside factions. As for those who joined the Phoenix Flame Palace, they were itinerant cultivators. "This brother, what are you doing here? You have to line up if you want to come to the Phoenix Flame Palace. Don't just stand there like a fool. Are you trying to cut the line?" "That's right. No matter what faction you come from, line up for us." Someone saw Etionyan standing there like a fool and immediately expressed his dissatisfaction. There were so many people lining up, but Etionyan was standing by the side. Perhaps he was trying to cut the line, so someone immediately started scolding him. Accompanied by the scolding, Etionyan frowned. He didn't have so much time to waste lining up. Soon after, he paid no attention to the curses around him and lifted his foot to walk forward. But after a few steps, someone blocked in front of him. "Kid, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to cut the line?" "That's right. There are so many people lining up. Are you trying to cut the line?" Two Star Masters intercepted him and looked at him angrily. They were lining up a bit in front. If Etionyan cut the line, he would be at the back. Cutting the line? Never thought about it. I want to go in and refine pills directly, Etionyan said indifferently. I think there must be a way to not line up. For example, paying a price. You want to take the shortcut? At this moment, the guard in charge of arranging people looked over and sized up Etionyan. He sneered. "If you want to take the shortcut, you need to pay a Star Sector level treasure. Can you afford it?" One shortcut needed to pay a Star Sector level treasure. One had to admit that the Phoenix Flame Palace was really demanding an exorbitant price. No wonder so many people were willing to line up. There were very few people who could afford it. Even if they could afford it, how many people would be willing to pay it? The others looked at him mockingly. Etionyan didn't look like a rich person. When he heard the price, he would probably shrink back. Poor boy, you're speechless, right? A Star Sector level treasure. Do you have one? You can't possibly think that the price of taking a shortcut is those chaos gems, right? Or perhaps some ordinary elixirs. What we need now are Star Sector level treasures. Haha, this kid is stupid. If you don't have money, don't try to take shortcuts. When they saw that Etionyan didn't move, they mistakenly thought that he didn't have any treasures. A Star Sector level treasure? I'll take it as a price. Etionyan waved his hand, and a Star Sector level armor was thrown over. He said calmly, "Bring me in." The guard received the armor and was stunned on the spot. Everyone else was stunned too. It was really taken out. It was a Star Sector grade armor. Okay, I'll bring you in. The guard's expression changed and quickly turned into a fawning one. He bowed and said, this way, please. Just a second ago, he was acting like a snob. In the next second, he was acting like a servant and was extremely respectful. Etionyan couldn't be bothered with them. He lifted his feet and walked forward, following the guard into the Phoenix Flame Palace. The cultivators who previously mocked Etionyan looked at each other. They were shocked by Etionyan's actions. Poor? They were probably the poorest of the bunch. That kid has some money. Wait until he comes out. A group of people's eyes were filled with greed. Once Etionyan went in, he would definitely come out. At that time, they would launch a sneak attack and obtain a bunch of treasures. Etionyan didn't care about their thoughts and followed them into the Phoenix Flame Palace. The decorations inside were luxurious. They were all made of various crystals, and there were even phoenix images carved on them. It was obvious that this Phoenix Flame Palace mainly worshipped the phoenix. It was normal for such a powerful phoenix to be worshipped. Along the way, there were many cultivators walking back and forth. When they saw Tianyun coming in, they just glanced at him casually and didn't pay too much attention to him. This way, the guard guided him to a palace. Inside, a group of celestial alchemists were helping to refine medicinal pills. Tianyun glanced at them and found that they were all grade 1 celestial alchemists. Although their grades were not high, it was already considered a very high standard for those outside. At least, they could refine things that they couldn't refine. The price they paid was the materials needed to refine medicinal pills. For example, if one wanted to refine a medicinal pill, they would need to prepare 2 sets of materials. One was for refining the pill, and the other was as a reward. In his opinion, these celestial alchemists were actually practicing their skills. By constantly helping others refine medicinal pills, they could hone their skills. Which celestial alchemist do you want to refine pills for you? The guard asked. At least a grade 3 celestial alchemist. I want to refine the 9 revolutions star pill. If it's lower than this grade, they can't help me refine it. Tianyun said indifferently. 9 revolutions star pill. The guard was startled. Tianyun's voice immediately attracted the attention of the people around. They didn't expect Tianyun to have the 9 revolutions star grass. In fact, he not only had the 9 revolution star grass, but he also had 3, except for one, which he found himself. The other 2 came from the celestial ring. If he didn't have so many, he really wouldn't have bothered to come here to refine pills. After all, compared to refining pills, refining avatars was more important. Yes, is there a grade 3 celestial alchemist here? Tianyun asked. Yes, I'll find one for you. The guard immediately ran all the way and entered the house in front of him. Soon, an old man walked out of the house. This old man walked over step by step, exuding an extraordinary aura. However, that arrogant expression on his face made people feel uncomfortable. However, he had the capital to do so. After all, he was a grade 3 celestial alchemist. His status was almost equivalent to that of a celestial monarch. Are you the one who wants to refine the 9 revolutions star pill? Elder Euphone walked out and looked Tianyun up and down, trying to figure out something from him. Yes, I want to refine it. Tianyun replied. That's fine. You just need to prepare 3 sets of 9 revolution stargrass. Elder Euphone stated the price. What? I need to prepare 3 sets. Didn't you say that I only need to prepare 2 sets? Why'd I need 3 sets? Tianyun frowned. In fact, even if he needed another set, he only wanted to use other treasures to replace it. He didn't expect this guy to ask for 3 sets. Do you think the 9 revolution star pill is easy to refine? The failure rate is not low. Therefore, I need 2 sets to refine it. One of them will be the reward. Elder Euphone said calmly. What if 1 set succeeds? Tianyun asked. Then the other 2 sets will be my reward. Elder Euphone said calmly. Chapter 2016. Normally, if you don't succeed, you'll return the materials to me. Why did you take both? Tianyun was a little unhappy. It was one thing to take away the remuneration, but more importantly, the materials were also going to be taken away. Not bad. A 50% success rate is already considered very high. There are 2 sets of materials in advance anyway. Even if we succeed, we won't return them. Elder Yufeng's expression was calm, as if everything was normal. After listening to this, Tianyun frowned and continued to ask, what if we fail both times? If you fail twice, you'll have to provide the materials twice more. Elder Yufeng said indifferently, the grade of the 9 revolution star pill is not low, and it is extremely difficult to refine it. Hence, if you still fail, you will have to provide 2 more sets of materials. The remuneration will remain the same, and you will only be charged once. Tianyun was exasperated. He had failed, and he still had to clean up after him? Was the 9 revolution stargrass really a cabbage that could be found everywhere? If I fail, shouldn't you pay for me? Tianyun was extremely dissatisfied. How is that possible? You are the one who provided the materials. If you are afraid of failure, please find someone else to refine it. Our Phoenix Flame Palace will not wait. Elder Yufeng had a lofty expression on his face. He was extremely dissatisfied with I Chinyan's attitude. However, pill refinement offices, everyone in this region, and even the Star Source region, will come to us to refine pills. I hope that you will be able to find a pill refinement office that meets your requirements. Elder Yufeng's face was filled with mockery, as if he was certain that he could defeat I Tianyan. In fact, it wasn't just I Tianyan. The other cultivators had the same thought, but what could they do? They didn't know how to refine pills, and in the nearby region, only the Phoenix Flame Palace had the best alchemy standards. There might be other regions that were better than the Phoenix Flame Palace, or they might be on a similar level as the Phoenix Flame Palace, but the distance was just too far. They didn't want to stray too far from their own territories. Therefore, they could only bite the bullet and refine it here. Often, it was the other party who failed several times, and they had to provide the materials themselves. What else could he do? The only way was to leave this area and refine it somewhere else. The Phoenix Flame Palace was equivalent to the master of this place. They had to do things according to their wishes. He could either leave or cultivate. It was up to him. If you don't want to concoct, then so be it. You don't even have a shitty standard, yet you still want to concoct pills? I Tianyan shook his head. It wasn't that he couldn't afford the price, but the Phoenix Flame Palace was using them as practice. It was equivalent to scamming them in disguise. Taking a closer look, the people sent out were all new celestial alchemists. Moreover, they weren't familiar with their techniques, which meant that their chances of failure were extremely high. Sending these people out was undoubtedly to practice their skills. It was one thing for them to provide the materials if they failed many times, but they were still asking the guests to provide the materials. This was clearly a scam. It wasn't like he hadn't seen alchemy before. It was normal to take 2 extra sets of ingredients for alchemy, but if it was successful in one go, the extra one would be returned. Who would have thought that he was the one who had accepted this place? This was another huge trap. The success rate was not high, but they still came out to do business. This made him very unhappy. Even if he had a lot of 9 Revolution Stargrass, he didn't want to play like this. You dare to say that I'm not good enough? Elder Yufeng's expression changed, and he angrily said, I'm a dignified grade 3 celestial alchemist. Even in the 2 regions, I'm a top-notch existence. The difficulty of refining the 9 Revolution Star Pill isn't low. Even if I have a 50% success rate, it's already a very high level. You still dare to say that my alchemy skills are not good enough? As a celestial alchemist, he was especially proud. If someone questioned his alchemy skills, he would feel extremely dissatisfied. This was tantamount to an insult and a provocation to him. A 50% success rate is indeed a good ability, but your character is not good enough. When others succeed in alchemy, they would return the materials, but you kept them for yourself. I Tianyan sneered and said, Moreover, if you fail continuously, you have to take out your own materials. This is also a form of confidence in your skills. But even if you fail, you still need others to provide the materials. Does this mean that you have a reason to fail? If you don't have the ability and confidence, then don't open your door to do business. I Tianyan also laughed in anger. This was simply a price hike. Elder Yufeng exploded in anger. He looked at him and said coldly, These are our rules. Other people's rules are fine, but our Phoenix Flame Palace has such rules. Refine or not, scram for me. The Phoenix Flame Palace isn't a place for you to mess around. I Tianyan flicked his sleeves and said indifferently, Leave then leave. If I knew that the Phoenix Flame Palace has such rules, I definitely wouldn't have come. It's meaningless. I have always only opened my door to do business after my own level is good. But you guys are good, directly treating us as practice. According to normal circumstances, practice should be free. It's already pretty good that we can provide the materials. He wasn't very clear about the Phoenix Flame Palace's rules. But in other regions, practice was free. After all, the failure rate was so high, and they still had to collect material fees. That was too much of a scam. But the Phoenix Flame Palace was such a scam. Even if it was practice, there was a fee. Moreover, the price was not low. You are insulting our Phoenix Flame Palace. Elder Yufeng said angrily. Come in, take him down for me. Three Master Xing immediately rushed over from all directions. The Phoenix Flame Palace was a pill palace. Under the situation where there were many medicinal pills, the powerhouse's proficiency would naturally not be low. The guards all had Master Xing cultivation. This was considered relatively normal. The other cultivators who came here to refine pills all shook their heads. Who did not know that the Phoenix Flame Palace was a scam? But they could only accept it. In this region, only the Phoenix Flame Palace's alchemy standards were decent. They could only come over to refine. If there were other factions that were not bad at alchemy, they definitely would not come here. The Phoenix Flame Palace believed that there was no one stronger than them in the vicinity, so they directly monopolized the market. They followed suit and raised the price. The group of people was furious and helpless. Now, that Etienne said what they wanted to say, they felt very refreshed. But so what? Not only could they not refine medicinal pills, but they even provoked the Phoenix Flame Palace. It was truly unwise. Just the likes of them want to stop me too? Etienne's gaze turned cold. He was prepared to fight at any time, and also prepared to leave this place at any time. He could not stay in the shady shop anymore. If he knew that this place was so shady, he definitely would not have come. Right at this time, a familiar figure entered here. It was actually that Dai Lingyu. He did not expect that Dai Lingyu would also come here. Your Excellency, you are here too? Dai Lingyu looked at Yi Tianyun with a look of pleasant surprise. She thought that she would never see Yi Tianyun again. She did not expect to see him here as well. Your Excellency? Elder Yufeng was stunned. Why did a lord run out? Chapter 2017. Dai Lingyu's appearance surprised Yi Tianyun. He thought that it would be a long time before they could meet again. He didn't expect to meet her so soon. You also came to Phoenix Flame Palace? Yi Tianyun asked in confusion. Yeah, I came to see if Phoenix Flame Palace has any illusionary wood grass. After all, this is the Alchemy Palace. Spirit medicines should be very complete. Dai Lingyu explained her purpose. If you come here to exchange for illusionary wood grass, I think it will be squeezed dry. I don't know how many times the price will be. Yi Tianyun sneered. Alchemy usually required such a high price. The price of exchanging for spirit medicines would be even higher. In this case, why would she exchange for medicinal pills? She could just leave. Oh, then I won't exchange. Speaking of which, I need to use a star sector level treasure to come in. It's too expensive. If it weren't for the emergency, I wouldn't have come here to exchange. Dai Lingyu pouted her mouth in dissatisfaction. Compared to her previous huge body, she looked much cuter now. If she did this with her previous huge body, Yi Tianyun would probably want to vomit. Although she didn't care about her appearance, it was quite terrifying to do this with a different appearance. Return the things to her. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. You brat, you dare to be arrogant in front of me? You came in and you still want a refund? Elder Yufeng was furious. He had been ignored since the beginning. Even if he sent out several star grandmasters, they were still ignored. He didn't feel anything. Capture these two for me. One look, and you can tell that they are accomplices. Yes. The 3-star grandmasters surrounded them. The nearby cultivators quickly hid far away. Even if they were unhappy with Phoenix Flame Palace, they wouldn't help. They weren't related to Yi Tianyun. Naturally, they couldn't help. Kneel. Yi Tianyun snorted coldly. A terrifying pressure pressed down. Except for Dai Lingyu, everyone else knelt on the ground and found it hard to get up. A group of star alchemy masters had failed because of this. This had nothing to do with Yi Tianyun, who asked Phoenix Flame Palace to anger him. Not only did they raise the price, they also wanted to stop him from leaving. Since they stopped him, then he wouldn't leave. Star Sovereign, Elder Yufeng was stunned. He didn't feel the pain from kneeling on the ground. He was stunned by Yi Tianyun aura. He never thought that Yi Tianyun was a Star Sovereign. Even though Xiao Qin's status was almost comparable to that of a regular Star Venerate, he was still very far from it. If they were to really compare, then Elder Yufeng would have to stand by the side. You want me to stay here? Then I won't leave. Yi Tianyun waved his hand, and the chair on the side flew over to him. He sat down and looked at them with a sneer. Said, Tian Feng Yao, Tian Yun Bi. Lord Star Sovereign, please calm down. This is all my fault. I'm willing to refine pills for you for free. Elder Yu Feng stuttered. He no longer had the arrogance from before. His expression changed quickly. This was the benefit of strength. No matter how arrogant he was, he could only bow his head obediently in the face of the strong. If he didn't choose to bow his head, he would die. Refine pills for me for free? Then I'll provide you with the materials. After I succeed, I'll take away a portion? Tianyun said with a sneer. No, I don't dare. I don't dare to accept it. As long as I succeed, I'll return the remaining materials. Elder Yufeng swallowed his words and slapped himself in the face. How do I know how many times you will fail? If I fail many times in a row, won't my 9 revolution stargrass be used up by you? Tianyun said coldly. Do you think my 9 revolution stargrass is cabbage? How can it be so easy to obtain? No. There will be a chance of failure, but it won't be very high. Elder Yufeng's back was drenched in cold sweat. He was worried that he would be slapped flat by Tianyun. Oh, no matter what, I don't plan on letting you refine pills for me. If you don't compensate me today, I don't plan on leaving, said Tianyun indifferently. At that moment, a voice came from inside. Friend, let people go when possible. Although my Phoenix Flame Palace isn't powerful, we are not afraid of other factions. Immediately, a middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. His every move was very elegant. He held a red fan in his hand and walked over with a cold expression. He was very dissatisfied with Tianyun's actions. At the same time, he raised his hand, and the pressure from Tianyun was quickly offset. Only then could everyone get up and escape the terrifying pressure. Dragon Rock Palace Master. Elder Yufeng was delighted. He hurriedly came behind the Dragon Rock Palace Master and said with his head lowered, Dragon Rock Palace Master, he is dissatisfied with our rules. He thinks that our Phoenix Flame Palace's rules are unreasonable, and he wants to cause trouble. With a backer appearing, Elder Yufeng immediately changed back. He was no longer as fearful of everything as before. Let people go when possible. These words are well said. But looking at you lackeys, it seems like you don't want to spare me? Tianyun said indifferently. Shut up. The Dragon Rock Palace Master glared at him coldly, causing Elder Yufeng to lower his head even more. He didn't dare to say another word. The Dragon Rock Palace Master closed his fan and said indifferently, The Phoenix Flame Palace has such rules. Other people's rules are theirs and have nothing to do with us. Again, if you're dissatisfied, please leave. Our Phoenix Flame Palace does not welcome you. The Dragon Rock Palace Master was quite overbearing. It seemed like he had never compromised from the beginning and would not be changed by a few words from Tianyun. I originally wanted to leave, but you forced me to stay. Then, I really don't plan on leaving today. I also said that if you don't give me a satisfactory answer, I won't be leaving. Tianyun sat there unmoved. He had seen overbearing people before, but he had never seen someone so overbearing. He was originally in a good mood, but when he came in, he discovered that this was a scam. It was simply laughable to come here to refine pills without any standards. It was simply laughable that they were here to scam him. He would be displeased. Friend, do you really think that you are invincible just because of your strength? The Dragon Rock Palace Master's aura rapidly rose, and his fighting spirit began to emerge. Clearly, if Tianyun didn't leave, then he would use violence to resolve this. Invincible is an exaggeration, but dealing with your Phoenix Flame Palace is not a problem. Tianyun said indifferently, I'll give you 2 choices. One is to help me refine the 9 Revolutions Stellar Pill. I will only take out 1 set of ingredients. If you fail, help me put in the ingredients yourself. The second choice is to directly compensate me with something, and I will turn around and leave. What if I refuse all of you? The Dragon Rock Palace Master's eyes flickered with anger. His eyes were filled with extreme, killing intent, and the phantom of the giant dragon rock beast appeared behind him. It was actually the bloodline of the dragon race. Upon seeing this bloodline, Tianyin actually laughed out loud. Of all the bloodlines, it just had to be the Dragon Clan's bloodline. Wasn't this clearly a gift? What are you laughing at? The Dragon Rock Palace Master was furious. His aura was so sharp, but made the other party laugh as if he was mocking him. Dialing Yu, who was at the side, was also stupefied. She did not know what Tianyin was laughing at. She knew that Tianyin was a star venerate, but the other party was also a star venerate. Furthermore, he was a middle-stage star venerate. Even if Tianyin was not weak, he did not care. Was he not being too confident? It's nothing. I'm just laughing at you for overestimating yourself. With your strength, you are not even fit to carry my shoes. Tianyin smiled faintly and said, compensation is impossible. Unexpectedly, when I asked you to compensate me, you are the one asking me for compensation. How tyrannical. You want me to stay here for real? Do you think you're qualified? It looks like your Phoenix Flame Palace is used to being tyrannical here. Do you think that you are unrivaled? The second choice was to be cruel. Actually, it was to let Xiaochen die here, killing a star venerate. It looked like the Dragon Rock Palace Lord was very confident in his own ability. Or rather, in the territory of the Phoenix Flame Palace, he was unrivaled. Whether I am unrivaled or not, I do not know. At the very least, it is not a problem to keep you here. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord's gaze turned cold. Our Phoenix Flame Palace has been able to survive in this chaotic region for so many years without falling. Do you think we can do it without some strength? In this place, we are the kings. We are the masters of this place. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord's voice grew louder. His eyes filled with arrogance, as though he looked down on the world. It was as though he was above everyone else. Submit or die. The image of the colossal Dragon Rock beast behind the Dragon Rock Palace Lord roared and bared its claws and fangs in the air. The tyrannical dragon might made Dai Lingyu's breathing stagnate. She felt like she was suffocating. When the Dragon Rock Palace Lord makes his move, who dares to fight him? Didn't a star venerate come to cause trouble previously? Didn't the Dragon Rock Palace Lord kill him in the end? Actually, Elder Yufeng and the others had not truly left. Instead, they were at the entrance, watching the situation. How could they miss such an exciting event? That's right. Whether it's a snake or a dragon, when you come here, you have to behave yourself. They all laughed, as though they had forgotten that they had knelt before Tianyin like a grandson. Submit or die. Tianyin shook his head. He did not expect that someone would dare to say such words in front of him. If you were a star venerate, you might have some qualifications to say such words. However, you're only a star venerate now. At the same time, you have the dragon race's bloodline. I have to say that this is really lamentable. Tianyin looked at the Dragon Rock Palace Lord with pity. How ignorant. It looks like you don't know what strength is. So what if you broke through to the star venerate realm? You don't know that this kind of bloodline is the strongest existence. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord's body swelled up, and thick dragon scales immediately appeared on the surface of his body. A tyrannical dragon energy spread out. Clearly, he was angered by Tianyin's disregard. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord planned to unleash a wave of power to completely shock Tianyin and let him know what the gap between them was. My lord, this power, you have to be careful. This is the power of the giant Dragon Rock beast. It has a grade 5-star Dharma idol and an extremely strong defense. Even a normal star venerate would find it difficult to break this defense. Dai Lingyu was experienced and knowledgeable. She immediately knew where the power came from. A strong power and a strong defense were not something that could be broken easily. This is indeed powerful, but that is relative to others. For me, it is no different from a reptile. Tianyin took a step forward and grinned. Then I will say the same thing. Submit or die. How lamentable. You still don't know the gap between our strengths. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord looked at Tianyin with a pitiful gaze, as though he was looking at a fool. Immediately, Tianyin took a step forward, and the image of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon appeared behind him. The unique Star Dharma idol illuminated the world. Kneel! Etienne snorted coldly. The image of the giant dragon rock beast behind the Dragon Rock Palace Lord let out a woo-woo sound and disappeared. The dragon scales covering his body instantly disintegrated like armor. Chapter 2019. Bloodline Suppression. This was a tried and tested situation. As long as the other party had the dragon bloodline, they would be easily suppressed. He didn't even need to fight. This made him smile like a flower. If he entered a certain dragon clan, he would really become the king. Even if there were a few who could resist the suppression, it was just a few. Most could not withstand the suppression and directly lost the ability to resist. This was the case for the Dragon Rock Palace Master. The giant dragon rock beast, Star Dharma, immediately retreated and ran without hesitation. This was the effect of level suppression. Very few with the dragon bloodline could resist it. When this scene appeared, everyone was stunned, especially when they saw the unique Star Dharma hanging high in the void. The phantom of the five-colored Emperor Dragon floated, like a true king of the Dragon Clan. Tell me, what is the difference? What is ignorance of power? Etienne smiled faintly and walked towards the Dragon Rock Palace Master. The Dragon Rock Palace Master's face was full of fear. He never thought that Etienne would have such heaven-defying power to directly suppress his dragon bloodline. The key was that he hadn't moved yet. The dragon bloodline in his body had been suppressing him. It was as if someone was constantly beside his ear, telling him not to move and not to move. This was like a curse. He couldn't resist or resist. He was like a slave with a slave brand, but he was better than those slaves. At least the Dragon Rock Palace Master could still escape. But the premise was that Etienne withdrew the suppression. Otherwise, the Dragon Rock Palace Master couldn't escape. After all, after losing the Star Dharma, he was like a mortal who had lost his power. He was constantly suppressed and unable to move. Dialing Yu was stunned. She thought that Etienne would be in danger. Now it seemed that there was no danger. He didn't even need to fight. It seemed like he could win this round. The Dragon Rock Palace Master gritted his teeth and looked up at Etienne. He said in horror, "How do you have such power? Am I always going to be weak?" Etienne sneered. "I've said it before, surrender or die." When Etienne asked, he had already stepped on him and was looking down at the Dragon Rock Palace Lord. I choose you to die." Palace Master Dragon Cliff roared. "Then go to hell." Etienne lifted his foot and stomped on his head. At this moment, a terrifying force surged from the front, blasting towards Etienne. The Dragon Rock Palace Master revealed a cruel smile, as if he could see Etienne being severely injured. Etienne didn't care about this force and stomped his foot. The Dragon Rock Palace Lord didn't expect that Etienne would disregard his own safety and come down to this place. Does he want to perish together with me? No, Dragon Rock Palace Lord shouted, but his shout didn't stop Etienne's attack. Etienne's foot fell heavily. Without any resistance, the Dragon Cliff Palace Master's head exploded like a watermelon with one stomp. Ding! Successfully killed Dragon Rocky Palace Master. Obtained 25 million star energy points, 50 kill points. Giant Dragon Rocky Beast Dharma Form, Grade 5, Dragon Rocky Bloodline, Dragon Rocky Scales, and Dragon Rocky Bones. A pile of materials exploded. This was the effect of activating the Luck Halo. Under the effect of greatly increasing one's luck, the drop rate was greatly increased, allowing one to obtain more materials. The moment he stepped on the Dragon Rock Palace Lord, Etienne stretched out his hand, and with a bang sound, the energy that surrounded him was dispersed by his palm, and the dispersed energy rolled towards the door behind him. Elder Euphone and the others were sent flying, and they hit the thick wall one after another. They vomited blood and were seriously injured. Just a little bit of the dispersed energy was enough to seriously injure these Star Masters. Under Etienne's protection, Dialing Yu was not affected. Following that, a figure appeared in front of Etienne. His face was filled with rage. "How bold! I did not expect you to kill someone in front of me." The one who appeared was an old man. His cultivation was extremely terrifying. He was actually a peak late-stage star venerate. This Phoenix Flame Palace was truly a place of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. No wonder the Dragon Rock Palace Master was so calm. It turned out that he had an expert protecting him. However, how could Tianyin fear these attacks? He was not even afraid of a star venerate, much less a mere star venerate. Elder Yufeng, who just got up, looked over with difficulty. When he saw the Dragon Rock Palace Master being killed, he felt shocked. I did not expect that even after the Heavenly Wind Palace Master came out, he still could not save the Dragon Rock Palace Master. Elder Yufeng was frightened by Tianyin's strength. He had thought that Tianyin would be suppressed. Now, it looked like they were too naive. The iron plate they kicked was extremely hard. So what if I killed someone in front of you? Should I just obediently let you kill me? Tianyin smiled coldly. You do have some ability since you have the star dermic aspect. However, you should not have killed Dragon Rock in front of me. He is my most beloved disciple. The Heavenly Wind Palace Master roared, and the image of a huge phoenix appeared behind him. The palace hall was immediately filled with hot flames, and the temperature soared. Some things that could not withstand the high temperature directly melted or even vaporized. This time, the Heavenly Wind Palace Master did not have the dragon race's bloodline and would no longer be suppressed by Tianyin's strength. I do not have the dragon race's bloodline. Let's see how you are going to suppress me. The Heavenly Wind Palace Master instantly became younger. Phoenix feathers appeared on her back, making her look like a huge phoenix. She rushed over at her fastest speed, wanting to pin Tianyin to the wall. Dialing Yu's expression immediately changed. She hurriedly warned, "This is the Heavenly Phoenix bloodline, a rank 5 bloodline. It possesses shocking speed and shocking fire energy. My lord, you should be careful." Dialing Yu immediately recognized what the star dermic aspect was and immediately warned Tianyin. She could not help much. She could only remind him what the other party's power was behind his back. Of course, there was no need for her to remind him. Tianyin could see it. Moreover, even if he couldn't see it, so what? To deal with these things, he could just crush them with a stomp. Suppress them like this. Tianyin snorted coldly. The image of the 5-colored Emperor dragon instantly increased and pressed down on the Heavenly Wind Palace Master. The violent power caused the space to distort. No matter how fast the Heavenly Wind Palace Master flew, it was as if she was frozen in the air. She was pressed down on the ground by Tianyin's foot, unable to move. Originally, it looked like a huge phoenix, but now it looked like a weak chicken. It was firmly stepped on, unable to move. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.